A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio. A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
Ronald Coleman, inviting you to radio's most dramatic half hour, Favorite Stories. This week's favorite story is the choice of no one person, but of everyone in the English-speaking world. It embodies the spirit and the beauty of Christmas more than any other writing in our language. Our sponsor sends it to you as a special Christmas gift. A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens.
Starring in the role of Ebenezer Scrooge is your favorite story host, Ronald Coleman. Mr. Coleman is supported by an all-star cast in this special production of Dickens' Christmas Carol, the world's favorite Christmas story.
Merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. Remember Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day to save us all from Satan's.
Get away, I tell you. I want none of your singing here. Now get away, before I take a stick to you, all of you. Get away. It was I who said those words. May heaven help my soul. It was I who called them out into the London night on Christmas Eve and sent those children scampering into the fog with fear in their hearts, where but a moment before had been the love of fellow man and God. I have learned a great deal since then, and my story bears telling. My name is Ebenezer Scrooge, and the time of which I speak was Christmas, in the year of our Lord 1843. It was cold, bleak, biting weather. In my counting house, where I sat working busily over my ledgers, the fog came pouring in at every chink and keyhole. But I remember noting with silent glee that it had been a good year, and I was a much richer man. The city clocks had only just struck 3, but already it was quite dark, and I had lit a candle to see by. My clerk had also lit a candle, and the miserable wretch was warming his hands by it, wasting good time and money. I was just about to reprimand him when the door opened with a clatter.
Merry Christmas, Uncle. God save you.
Close that door. Do you want to freeze us out?
Oh, I'm sorry, Uncle. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. And what reason have you to be merry? Huh? Heaven knows you're poor enough.
Well, then what reason have you to be sour? You're rich enough.
This is a place of business, nephew. I'll thank you to leave us alone.
Oh, now don't be angry, Uncle.
What else can I be when I live in such a world of fools? Merry Christmas. Humbug! What does it mean but a time for paying bills without money? A time for finding yourself a year older, but not an hour richer. If I had my way, every fool who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled in his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart. Now, get out.
Oh, Uncle Ebenezer,
Keep
if you'll just...
Christmas in your own way and let me keep it in mine.
Oh, but that's just it. You don't keep it. I came to ask you to have dinner with us tomorrow.
Thank you, nephew. I'll starve first.
But why? We don't want anything from you. We ask nothing of you.
Really? Not even a gift for your charming wife? A bauble for your pretty little child? Oh, come.
Oh, I'm sorry you don't understand, Uncle. I came here purely out of the Christmas spirit.
And when you go, would you please take it with you? Now, good night, nephew.
Good night, sir.
Merry Christmas. Humbug!
Mr. Scrooge, sir.
Well, Cratchit, why aren't you working at your desk?
If you please, sir, there's a gentleman to see you about a charity.
Charity? Time for closing.
That's what I told him, sir.
Good evening, sir. Scrooge and Marley's, I believe. Have I the pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?
Mr. Marley has been dead these 7 years. He died 7 years ago this very night.
Oh. As you know, Mr. Scrooge, at this festive season of the year, we attempt to make some slight provision for the poor and the destitute.
Oh, dear, dear. Are there no prisons?
Why, yes, sir. Plenty of prisons.
And the union workhouses, aren't they still in operation?
Yes, they are, sir, but...
I'm very glad to hear it.
Oh. Now, what shall I put you down for, sir?
For nothing.
You wish to be anonymous?
I wish to be left alone. I can't afford to make idle people merry. As a citizen, I help to support the workhouses. Those who are badly off must go there.
Many can't go there. Many would rather die.
Then they had better do it and decrease the surplus population. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Mr. Scrooge, sir.
Well, what is it?
I was just wondering, sir,
If you might leave for the night, eh? Well, say it.
Yes, sir.
You want all day tomorrow, I suppose, Mr. Cratchit?
If it's quite convenient, sir.
It's not convenient and hardly reasonable.
It's only once a year, sir.
Once a year. A poor excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December. Well, I suppose you must have it.
Oh, thank you.
But you'll be here all the earlier next morning. I felt no twinge of conscience that fateful Christmas Eve. No pang of remorse. No sense of guilt. For I had never known these weakling sentiments. Why, then, did my dark chambers seem darker than they ever had before? Why did I start in fear as I crossed the gloomy threshold of my house? What was there waiting for me? I stood in the blackness, suddenly shaken by a chill, as though an icy hand had clasped its fingers round my heart. Then, slowly, I mounted the stairs. Once in my room, I knew I would be safe. Once locked behind my heavy door, this nameless fear that clutched at me would be gone. Quickly, I made myself ready for bed. And then, in the flickering light of my solitary candle, I saw it. Stood in the shadows, shining with a sickly bluish gleam. Its eyes were staring into mine. Two dead eyes staring out of a dead face. Who are you? What do you want with me? Who are you?
Ask me rather who I was.
You.
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley.
Marley. I know you now. But you're dead. You're dead. Why have you come here?
It is required of every man that the spirit within him should walk abroad among his fellow men and travel far and wide. And if that spirit goes not forth in life, it is condemned to do so after death.
No, stand back.
His spirit is doomed to wander through the world and witness happiness it cannot share, but might have shared on earth.
You are fettered. You're in chains. Tell me why.
I wear the chain I forged in life. Of my own free will I wore it. I made it link by link and yard by yard. Is its pattern strange to you?
Money boxes, keys, and padlocks.
Yes. Heavy purses wrought in steel. I think you know this pattern well.
You were always a good man of business, Marley.
Business. Mankind was my business. Charity, mercy, forbearance were my business. But I turned my back on these and looked for wealth. I suffer for it now.
But you are 7 years dead. You are beyond suffering.
Hear me. My time is nearly gone. As I have suffered, so will you. For your life is mean. Your soul is shriveled, as mine was. But while that life still beats in you, you have yet one chance, one hope of escaping my fate.
What hope is that you speak of? Tell me, Marley.
You will be haunted by 3 spirits. Look for the first in the dark of the morning when the clock strikes 1. The second spirit on the stroke of 2. The third will come when the bell tolls 3. Look to see me no more, but remember well what I have said. Remember and take heed. Remember.
How long I slept, I do not know, but I awoke in a tremble, the voice of the steeple clock still ringing in my ears as it struck the first hour of Christmas Day. There, at my bedside, as old Marley had warned, was the spirit who had come to haunt me. It was a strange figure, like a child, and yet its hair was white with age. It held a branch of fresh green holly in its hand, and strangest of all, from the crown of its head there sprung a bright, clear light.
You must come with me, Ebenezer Scrooge.
Are you the spirit whose coming was foretold me?
I am.
Who and what are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas past.
Long past?
No, your past.
Well, why have you come? What brings you here?
Your welfare and your reclamation. Rise and walk with me.
Walk? Where?
Through your window, out into the night, out on the wings of the wind. Come with me, Ebenezer Scrooge.
Wait, what place is this? Where are we?
Look there below and tell me what you see.
I see a school. A cold and draughty hall. I see a long, bare, melancholy room in which a boy sits reading. A solitary child, neglected by his friends, for they have all gone home for Christmas. He wants to cry, but he doesn't dare. Now he lifts his head. I see his face.
His name?
His name is Ebenezer Scrooge.
Here now is the shadow of another Christmas. The boy is older now.
Oh, show me no more.
That girl who sits beside him, they are to be married.
Stop, take me back.
Listen, Ebenezer Scrooge. Hear what she says.
I know it matters little to you. And so I give you your release, Ebenezer.
Spirit, take me back.
You have changed, and your love is not for me any longer. You love money now, and power. Another idol has displaced me. A golden one.
No.
Goodbye, Ebenezer.
She has gone. Out of the room. Out of your life.
Show me no more, I say.
One shadow more.
No more.
One glimpse of her at still another Christmas.
No.
Happy in a home that might have been your home.
No.
Laughing with her children who might have been yours.
No, leave me. Haunt me no longer, do you hear? Haunt me no longer.
Ronald Coleman will return in just a moment with Act 2 of Dickens' Christmas Carol.
And now we continue with Act Two of the world's favorite Christmas story, A Christmas Carol, by Charles Dickens.
Our star in this favorite story production is your host on this series, Ronald Coleman, who recreates especially for our favorite story listeners the role of Scrooge, which he portrayed so memorably in a recent Decca album. In his gloomy bedchamber, Ebenezer Scrooge has just bade farewell to the ghosts of Christmas past.
Again I slept. Again the steeple clock told out the hour on the Christmas morning air.
Wake up, man, wake up. I am the ghost of Christmas presents. Look upon me, man. Know me better.
Before me stood a spirit, giant in size, clear-eyed and smiling. On its head there was a crown of holly. It held a great lighted torch high in the air, filling the room with a ruddy glow. I stared at him, more in wonder than in fear.
Have you never seen the likes of me before?
Never.
What? You've never walked with my brothers?
Have you many brothers, Spirit?
More than 1,800. One for every Christmas since the first. Will you come with me, man?
I've seen the Christmases of the past. They brought me no joy.
Oh, come along, man, come along. I will show you the Christmas of today. There is a miserable room in a miserable house where lives a man that you know well. There, do you see him?
Why, that's my clerk, Bob Cratchit. But the others, I know them not.
Bob Cratchit has a wife and children. 5 children. And all of these mouths are fed and bodies clothed on the 15 shillings which you so kindly give him every week.
A wife and children, I never knew that...
You might have known. You never asked.
That child, the youngest of the 5, he has a crutch. He is a cripple?
The crutch supports his body. His spirit stands alone.
You work now, children. Your father's home. Chairs for the table. Peter, fetch the goose. Yes, Mother. Martha, the potatoes need your hand. Oh, Bob, there's such a goose.
Tiny Tim could tell you that. Couldn't you, Tim?
I smelled it, Mother. I could smell it coming up the stairs. Oh, my little one. And was he a good boy at church, Bob?
As good as gold. Eh, Tiny Tim?
It was nice to be in church this morning, Mother. I wanted everyone to see me.
Why, Tiny Tim?
Because I'm a cripple. And if people see a cripple on Christmas Day, why, then they'll remember that this is God's day. And it's God who makes the cripples walk and the blind to see.
Oh, Tiny Tim.
Well, isn't it, Mother?
Yes, Tim.
Isn't it, Father?
Who else, my son?
And he'll make me walk, too. Someday I'll just throw away my crutch and I'll never have to use it again. Will I, Father?
Never. Why, you're growing stronger every day. Feel his arm, Mother. Just feel it.
Feel my arm, Mother. Feel my arm. The goose. The goose is here. Hurrah!
A poor feast. A goose no larger than your hand might cover. But the Cratchits are not hard to please.
There never was such a goose. Now look there. I don't believe there ever was such a goose cooked. The tenderness, the flavor.
And
yeah,
the stuffing.
And now the pudding. A very small pudding for so large a family.
Oh, a wonderful pudding, wonderful. Children, I regard this pudding, I say, as the greatest success by Mrs. Cratchit since our marriage. And now, a toast. A Merry Christmas to us all, my dears. God bless us.
A Merry Christmas to us all. God bless us, everyone.
The feast is over. They gather round the fire now, and Tiny Tim will sing to them. Just one short tune before he's off to bed.
Tiny Tim. He's so pale, so thin. Tell me, will he live? Spirit, will Tiny Tim live?
I see a vacant seat in the poor chimney corner, and a crutch without an owner. If these shadows remain unaltered, the child will die.
No, say he will be spared. Tell me he will be spared.
Do you worry? Why? If he is going to die, why, then he had better do it, and decrease the surplus population.
No, spirits, stop. Don't go. There must be others in the world. Poor.
Are there no prisons?
Oh, hear me. They can be helped.
Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses?
Spirits, stay. Come back. Come back. The spirit had gone. I was alone in the wind-swept street, my shoulders bowed with shame. From far off, I heard the hours strike. And looking up, I beheld a third of the spirits. It was a phantom, shrouded in a long black robe. A hood concealed its face. But from the folds of the robe, a thin white hand was outstretched toward me, beckoning.
I am the ghost of Christmas yet to come. I will show you the shadows of things that have not happened, but will happen in the time before us.
Ghost of the future, I fear you more than any specter I have seen.
Come. Tell me what you see.
A room, a dark and gloomy chamber. On the bed a figure lies, covered with a shroud. Someone is dead in this room.
Remove the shroud and look upon his face.
I am afraid.
Remove the shroud.
It is my own face that I see. My own.
You are dead, Ebenezer Scrooge.
But why am I alone? Why is there no one here?
There are none to mourn you.
Not one voice lifted in prayer. Not one tear shed. Alone in the dark forever.
Alone.
No, there must be someone. I have friends.
Come.
No. A graveyard. Have I not seen enough of death?
You looked in vain for mourners at your bed. Now see the face of one lost in grief. A figure by a gravestone kneeling in the fresh turned earth.
Why, it's Bob Cratchit. Bob Cratchit? But why?
Why? Death has passed his humble house and laid a wreath upon his step.
But the grave, such a small grave. Did Tiny Tim die?
Hear the father mourning for his son.
I wish that you could see this place, Tiny Tim. There's grass here, such as you've never seen before. And flowers, too. And birds. You'll like it here, Tiny Tim. There'll be no pain, and you can throw your crutch away at last. And you won't be alone either, for I'll come here every Sunday as I promised. And as I walk home, I'll feel your tiny weight upon my shoulder, the way we used to walk. Eh, Tim? And I'll hear your laugh, and I'll see your smile. And I'll think to myself, why, he's here just as he always was. He's here. Tiny Tim. Tiny Tim.
Tiny Tim. Born 1838. Departed this life, aged 7 years. Must this be? Must that father cry out his heart upon a gravestone? Tell me, this must not be.
There was a man named Ebenezer Scrooge. He might have saved this child.
He will. Let me have one chance. It was promised me if I altered my life. I will honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year. I will live in the past, the present, and the future. The Spirit of God shall strive in me, I swear. Only tell me. Tell me that I may sponge away the writing on that gravestone. Tell me. Suddenly I was back in my room, and the sun was streaming through the window. I had a sudden fear that Christmas Day had passed. With a cry, I sprang from my bed and threw open the window. Hey, you there, boy! What day is it? What day?
Today? Why, it's Christmas Day.
Christmas Day. I haven't missed it. Hello there, my fine fellow.
Hello?
You know the poultry shop at the corner?
I should hope I do.
Oh, an intelligent boy. Have they sold the prize turkey was hanging there?
What? The turkey as big as me?
Ha ha ha, delightful boy. Pleasure to talk to him. Is he still there?
It's hanging there now.
Well, then go and buy it, boy.
Oh.
No, I'm in earnest. Here's the money. Go and buy it. tell him to send it to Bob Cratchit's house, huh? And whatever's left is for you. And hurry, boy, hurry. I've been invited to my nephew's for dinner.
I'm going.
And boy,
Yes, sir?
Merry Christmas, boy, Merry Christmas. And a Merry Christmas it was. I had the pleasure that day of dining with my nephew and his family. A rare treat I discovered. And I was fortunate enough to meet the gentleman who had asked me for a contribution. He was surprised when old Scrooge pressed the money on him. And Cratchit, I had the double pleasure of raising his salary to such a figure that his eyes bulged almost from their sockets. A rare day. A rare treat all round. Yes, that was a Christmas for you. And I may tell you that Tiny Tim did not die. He's well and growing stronger day by day. A fine boy. I'll see him tonight at dinner. For this is Christmas once again. Yes. Yes, I keep Christmas now. For I have learned this, that no greater glory is given us than the love of fellow man. For in that love is love of God. May we keep Christmas always. May its fires burn forever in our hearts. And so, as Tiny Tim observed, God bless us everyone.
You have just heard the world's favorite Christmas story, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, starring Ronald Coleman.
This has been a holiday greeting from our sponsor and all your good friends here on the Favorite Story program. The most suitable gift we could think of for your Christmas fireside. The voices you have heard were all your old friends, each one a star of many a favorite story in the past year. You'll remember them. John Beale, Urine Tuttle, Jimmy Lydon, Joe Kearns, Arthur Q. Bryan, Henry Blair, Eric Snowden, Jerry Farber, Cyrus Kendall, and Earl Lee. Robert Mitchell directed the vocal effects, and Claude Sweeten conducted the orchestra. All of us, including our directors, Jerry Lowndes and Bob Lee, wish you the merriest of Merry Christmases on behalf of our sponsor. And we hope you will hear us all on many pleasant half hours of favorite story in the new year to come.
Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, private detective.
Hello there, this is Diamond. Well, it's Christmas Eve. And every year about this time, my business takes a big nosedive. People usually pack up their troubles and start unpacking colored lights and Christmas tree ornaments. So tonight, instead of telling you about one of my hair-raising exploits, we're going to tell you a Christmas story. So with apologies to Mr. Charles Dickens, we'd like to bring you an adaptation of one of his most famous stories, A Christmas Carol. Now, I'd better explain something first. This version isn't exactly the way you've heard it many times before. Because of the particular type of characters I usually get mixed up with, this story is written to fit their talents and characteristics. Different from the Dickens original, certainly, but we feel that this story could easily happen today, anywhere. Like maybe right here in New York on a little side street just off the Bowery. So now I'd like to introduce our characters. Mr. Ebenezer Scrooge will be played by my good friend and guiding hand of the 5th Precinct Homicide Division,
Lieutenant Walter Levinson.
Walter?
Otis.
The character of Jacob Marley will be played by one of my dearest friends and constant companions.
Otis, that's you.
Huh? Oh, Sergeant Otis Loveloon.
Loveloon.
Walt.
Oh, sorry, Helen. Tiny Tim will be played by our corner newsboy.
Johnny Rawlins.
Tiny Tim's mother will be played by my red-headed gal friend.
Helen Asher.
The rest of the characters will be played by members of the 5th Precinct Police Station.
Officer O'Reilly.
Officer Lund. Officer Lefkowitz.
Sergeant Miller.
The music will be furnished by the 5th Precinct Police Band, directed by Patrolman Worth. And now, our version of the Christmas classic, Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Once upon a time, there was a nasty old guy named Ebenezer Scrooge. He was nasty, all right. He didn't like anything, except maybe all the dough he could get his hands on. Scrooge had a little business that he started with his partner, Jacob Marley. The outfit was known as Scrooge and Marley Loan Company. But one day, poor old Marley just up and keeled over. So the boys along the big street gave him a nice funeral, and old Scrooge took over the business. Well, Marley had been dead for 7 years, and Scrooge lived alone in his little room over the office. And for a hobby, he hated everybody. He had a young guy working for him by the name of Bob Cratchit. Bob had a wife and 4 kids and made just enough to make ends meet. Scrooge used to ride him all the time. When it got so cold the polar bears complained, Cratchit would turn on the little heater, and Scrooge would say,
Cratchit, what do you think you're doing?
Turning on the heat, that's what I'm doing. My fingers look like popsicles.
Well, I don't care if they come in 6 delicious flavors. Every time you turn on that heater, it costs me money. Business is not good, so get back to your work and turn off the heat.
Oh, now look, Mr. Scrooge, I'm freezing. Now, this pen ain't guaranteed to ride under ice.
I tell you once more, get back to your work.
Okay, Mr. Scrooge. I don't know why you worry about business. Why not just put up a sign, turn the joint into a skating rink?
Well, this was no time for any decent guy to act like that. It was Christmas Eve. Along about 5 o'clock, into the office came Scrooge's nephew, Fred.
Well, Merry Christmas, Bob. Oh, Merry Christmas, Fred.
You get back to your work, Cratchit.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Merry Christmas, Uncle.
Oh, swell. Merry Christmas. Humbug.
Humbug?
Yeah, humbug. My old man didn't like Christmas, and that's what he used to say. Humbug.
Okay, humbug. But it's still Christmas, and I don't see where you get off not liking it. This is supposed to be the time everybody gets with it. Everything stops that ain't much good, and you put your arm around the next guy, you tell him Merry Christmas.
I'll put my arm around you with a hammer on the end of it if you don't lay off that goodwill stuff.
Look, what's with you? What have you got against Christmas?
You show me a way to make $100 every Christmas, and I'll fall in love with it. Every time the holidays roll around, nobody pays their bills, and they all run around like they own the Chrysler Building. Look at you. $60 a week, and you're coming on like Rockefeller.
Well, sure, I make a lousy $60, but it ain't easy. But once a year, something happens with everybody in this big world. Well, nearly everybody. Because this is a day that somebody else started to make things right for us, and he had a really tough time doing it. It's more than just remembering. It's feeling. It's all around you. Christmas has got to be merry. Don't you get it?
You want me to be merry?
Well, sure.
Then go get some of these joyous clients of mine to pay off their loans.
The missus asked me to invite you over for dinner tomorrow.
Now, don't hold your breath.
Okay. Merry Christmas, Bob.
Merry Christmas, Fred.
Merry Christmas, Uncle.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Humbug.
Late that evening, Scrooge went upstairs to his room, the room where Jacob Marley used to stay. It was dark in the little hall, and when Scrooge reached for the door, he looked up at the big brass knocker and saw...
Holy cow. I could have sworn that was old Jake's face in the knocker. I must be working too hard.
So in he went. A little shaky after seeing Jake Marley's face, but he just passed it off his nerves. He closed the door and locked it, then went over and sat down in front of the fireplace. He got a fire going and started to relax. But every tile around the fireplace started looking like Jake Marley's face.
Oh, now, come on, Eb, old boy. You got to get hold of yourself. This is ridiculous, and I haven't touched a drop in weeks.
He got up and walked around the room a few times, then went back and sat down again. He stretched, rested his head on the back of the chair. From somewhere a bell started chiming, and Scrooge sat straight up in his chair. He heard something else, too. Something from downstairs.
What the... Oh, now, what is that? What's going on? Who's that? Come on, who's out there?
Then all of a sudden it came right through the wall.
Marley! Jake Marley. Oh, no. I got to stop eating lobster. Oh, it couldn't be. Hey, what's with you? Who are you?
Jake Marley. Who else?
You're dead.
The deadest. But nevertheless, Jake Marley.
His ghost.
You're very sharp today, Scrooge, old boy.
I don't believe it.
You got eyes, ain't you?
Yeah, and I got a bad stomach, too. That's who you are. Nothing but a bad case of indigestion.
You don't think I'm a ghost, huh? Okay, maybe a good scare will change your mind. Whoa!
Oh, no. Stay away from me. I believe you.
You sold on the idea?
Yeah, but why do you got to come to see me?
Regulations. Every man is supposed to live his life and help his buddies. If he don't do it while he's alive, then he's got to do it after he kicks off. Oh!
Now, stop that. Hey, what's with all those chains and things you got wrapped around you?
Oh, these? Well, this here chain is like my life. Each one of these links is something I did wrong.
But why do you have to hold it around with you? Why don't you check it someplace?
Scrooge, old boy, when we was in business together, I never took time out to do any good. I just kept making a buck and figured that was enough. Well, now I got to pay for it. I got to haul this chain around and try to make up for all the things I didn't do when I was alive.
But why come to me?
Because you're going to end up just like me, unless we do something in a hurry. Now, I haven't got much time, so you better listen.
Oh, I don't want to be like you. I'll listen.
Okay. You're going to have 3 visitors. You're going to be haunted by 3 spirits.
Oh, no.
It's the only way you can keep from being like me. When you hear that bell strike 1, the first one will be here. Well, I got to be going. You won't see me again, but you remember what I told you. So long, Scrooge, old boy. Your goosebumps can relax now.
After the ghost took off, Scrooge just refused to believe it.
Nuts. It's ridiculous. Humbug.
Then he climbed into the sack and was soon snoring up a storm. When Scrooge awoke, it was still dark, and the bell from the church on 53rd Street was striking 12. He laid awake listening and thinking to himself.
Just a dream. Ghosts. Bah!
Finally, he dropped off again and slept for about an hour. Then the big bell struck 1.
1 o'clock, and I don't see no ghost. I knew it was something I ate.
All of a sudden, a big light flashed in the room. The first of the spirits stood before him.
Oh, Jake was right. Are you the first spirit that Jake said would come to haunt me?
Yeah, you know it.
Well, who are you?
Me? I'm the ghost of Christmas past.
Yeah? How long past?
Your past. Come on, we're going to take a walk.
Oh, where are we going?
Just relax. I'm running this tour.
Oh, well, let me get my pants.
You got 'em.
Hey, they're on me.
With that, the ghost of Christmas past grabbed Scrooge by the hand, and they both flew out of the window. Scrooge nearly lost his upper plate. But before he could yell for help, he was standing in front of a dirty, ramshackle old tenement building.
You know where you are?
Sure, I know where I am. This is where I was brought up. Even the garbage cans are the same.
You had a pretty tough time when you were a kid, didn't you?
The toughest. I wasn't very big, and the rest of the kids in the neighborhood were. I had more black eyes than a crow.
You want to go in?
What for?
To see your folks.
My folks died a long time ago.
They're in there now. Come on.
Well, the ghost took old Scrooge into the building and showed him a Christmas years past when he was a child with his family. Lord, it was tough living in two little rooms like that. But Scrooge remembered how wonderful it really was.
What's the matter, Scrooge?
Huh? Oh, got something in my eye.
You were pretty lonely when your folks when they...
Yeah. You know, there was a young kid that came around earlier this evening and sang some carols. I wish...
Yeah, what do you wish?
Oh, nothing.
Come on. I want to show you another Christmas.
The spirit showed him another Christmas and still another. And you know, no matter how tough Scrooge remembered his childhood had been, it always seemed that Christmas was wonderful. Then the spirit took him to a building down by the river where Scrooge got his first job. They went inside, and seated behind a desk, Scrooge spotted...
Fezziwig! Well, I'll be darned. It's old Fezziwig alive again. And there's Dick Wilkins. He was a good boy. We got along great. He liked me.
Okay, everybody, it's Christmas Eve. You can knock off and have yourself a good time. You better lock up, Dick.
Sure, right away, Mr. Fezziwig.
And don't look so unhappy, Ebenezer. It's Christmas. Come on home with me and tear into a big turkey. All locked up, Dick?
Yes, sir.
Ready, Ebenezer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go and have Merry Christmas, you two.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, Mr. Fezziwig. Merry Christmas.
Then the spirit took Scrooge over to Fezziwig's house, and they saw the wonderful party that Mrs. Fezziwig had gotten together. Scrooge watched and remembered, and the spirit said,
Wasn't Fezziwig a stupid, sentimental old goat?
Oh, yeah? Well, let me tell you something. He was a great guy, he was. You know...
What, Scrooge?
I was just thinking about Bob Cratchit, who works for me. I think I'd like to do something for him. You know he's got a wife and 4 kids?
Is that right?
Yeah, 4 kids. Come on, I've seen enough.
Okay, but you've got to see these things if you want to get squared away. And believe me, brother, you need squaring away. Let's go home, Scrooge.
Before he knew it, Scrooge was back in his little room, and the spirit was gone. Scrooge was pretty beat, and he climbed into bed and dropped into a heavy sleep.
Huh? What's that? It's 2:00. Hey, that light in the other room. I got burglars.
Hey, Scrooge. Scrooge, come on in.
Who's that? What are you doing in the other room?
Come on in. Take a look. It's pretty nifty.
Hey, what is this? What have you done to the room? It looks like Macy's window. Where'd you get all the holly and the mistletoe? And how'd you get it in here?
You like it?
Oh, for Pete's sake, a Christmas tree. Who are you?
The ghost of Christmas present. Now, don't tell me you don't like the way I fix things up. I work pretty hard.
Oh, the second ghost. Okay, take me wherever you want to go, but believe me, the next time I try the train.
Come on, let's go. Now, what do you see?
Oh, I see bright colored lights. People having a lot of fun. Kids on sleighs.
See that building over there, the one with the big wreath on the front door?
I got 2020. That's where Bob Cratchit lives. He works for me. Hey, look, there's Bob now.
Yes, going into the house. Up all those stairs to the 5th floor. And he's got his little boy on his back.
Tiny Tim.
Yeah, got polio last summer. Pretty sick little boy.
I know. Bob said he'd need a lot of care if he was ever going to walk again.
Let's take a peek.
Hi.
Hello, honey. You and Tim have a good time?
Best. Didn't we, Tim?
Yeah, Dad. We watched all the kids in the block on their sleds. Mom, will I ever be able to ride a sled?
Of course, Tim. Won't he, dear?
Sure thing, Roughneck. Next Christmas you'll be out there doing belly whoppers with the rest of them.
Dad, what's the matter? Your eyes are all wet.
Oh, nothing, Tim. I just got some snow in them.
Want some dinner, Tim?
Oh, Mom, stew for Christmas?
I'm sorry, Tim.
Oh, that's okay, Mom. I like stew.
Bob, will you please say grace?
Can I say something first, Mom?
Of course, Tim. What would you like to say?
God bless us. Everyone.
What's the matter, Scrooge, old boy? Got some snow in your eyes, too?
Tell me something.
Sure, if I can.
What about Tiny Tim?
Well, can't say for sure. If his old man makes enough money next year to get the right doctors, little Tim will get along just fine. But times are tough, aren't they, Scrooge?
Yeah.
Now the spirit of Christmas present took Scrooge to many places and showed him a lot of happiness and a lot of misery. And finally, back to his little room, and the spirit was gone.
Oh, I don't know whether I can take much more of this.
Then a new ghost drifted in. This was the worst yet. He was really done up for haunting. He was all dressed in black with one arm sticking out and pointing right at poor old Scrooge. This was the last one of the spirits. Scrooge's knees sounded like castanets on a reducing machine.
Okay. You don't have to tell me. You're the ghost of the Christmas that hasn't come yet. You I'm really scared of.
The ghost took off with Scrooge right after him. The city disappeared, and Scrooge found himself in the outskirts of town, standing in the graveyard. The night was howling like it was mad. And as Scrooge looked down, he saw...
Hey, what's this? What's this stone?
The black spirit stood still and pointed, so Scrooge leaned down and pulled away the bushes and saw it was a tombstone.
There's a name here. Ebenezer Scrooge. Oh, no. Look, not this. Believe me, I don't want this. I know I've done wrong, but I'm not kidding. I really know what Christmas means. It doesn't mean just today or tomorrow. It's every day of your life. I swear I'll do better. Only take me away from this. Let me try. Let me try to make Christmas right for me and everybody else. Please don't let this happen. Give me another chance. Well, don't just stand there. Put your arm back in. You'll catch cold. Well, say something.
Suddenly, Scrooge dropped to his knees and reached out for the spirit. But something happened. The spirit started to shrink. Then it collapsed. And when Scrooge looked up...
What the... My bedpost. My own bedpost. I'm home. Oh, thank goodness. I lived the past and the present and the future, and now I'm home. Hallelujah. Spirits, wherever you are, believe me. From now on, things are going to be different. Oh, yeah. And thanks.
Paper! Mine paper!
Hey, boy!
Yeah?
What day is this?
It's Christmas! What's with you?
Christmas? Oh, boy, I haven't missed it. The spooks did it all in one night. Boy!
Yeah? Oh, it's you, Mr. Scrooge.
How many papers have you got?
I don't know. Why?
Well, here's $5. Throw them away and go have yourself a Merry Christmas.
Gee, thanks, Mr. Scrooge. And a Merry Christmas to you.
Hey, boy, say that again.
Thanks?
No, the other.
You mean Merry Christmas?
Yeah, that's it. Merry Christmas.
Okay, I'm coming. What's the matter with you? Can't you see the store's closed? Look, mister, this is... Ebenezer Scrooge.
Merry Christmas, Barney.
Huh? Hey, you been drinking?
Not a drop. Well, what's the matter with you? Ain't you going to wish me a Merry Christmas?
Wish? Sure. Sure, come on in. Wife's upstairs with her mother, but I got a bottle in the back. I think maybe you better have something. Something strong.
Look, your grocery store's closed, but you could still sell me a turkey, couldn't you?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, you got a couple? They'll just go to waste.
What do you want a turkey for? You've been eating at the automat every Christmas for the last 7 years.
Well, it's not for me. But nevertheless, I have been invited to my nephew Fred's house for a Christmas dinner.
Well, then who's the bird for?
Bob Cratchit. You know, the young guy that works for me.
Oh, yeah. How much you going to charge him?
Here's $20. That ought to be enough for the bird.
No. It ain't worth that much. You sure you ain't been into something?
Well, if it's too much, give the rest to your kid and have him deliver the turkey to Cratchit's house.
Huh?
Here's the address, and don't tell Cratchit who sent the thing, okay?
Okay.
Merry Christmas, Barney.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Well, old Scrooge went back to his rooms and took out an old blue suit out of the mothball. He shook it out, put a few creases in it, and went out into the street. The old boy was really with it. Everybody he passed, he greeted them with,
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Oh, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Scrooge went to church and gave a large donation, and Father McCarthy nearly forgot his sermon. And then Scrooge went out on the street again and down into the Bowery.
Oh, God bless you, sir, and a Merry Christmas.
Isn't it, though?
He kept walking and having a great time. Later that afternoon, he arrived at his nephew's house.
Well, what the... Merry Christmas, Fred. I've come to dinner.
Oh, my gosh.
Here, I brought you some presents.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, don't thank me. It's Christmas, remember?
Oh, my gosh! Next morning, Scrooge was early at the office. If he could just catch Cratchit coming in late. And he did. Bob was a good 21 minutes late.
Cratchit?
Oh, no.
You're 21 minutes late.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Mr. Scrooge. I had a big evening last night.
You did, huh? You know what I told you if I caught you fancy putting it in here late again.
Okay, so I'm canned.
You think you got it coming?
Oh, I'm too tired to argue, Mr. Scrooge. Jobs are tough enough, and I hate to lose this one, but I'm just too tired.
A raise would help, huh?
That's the silliest question of the year.
Then you got it. It's in that envelope.
Well, what?
Yeah, and maybe after we see how the funds are, we can do something about Tiny Tim.
No, I don't get it. A raise? You want to do something about Tim? I don't get it.
Sure you do, Bob. Haven't you heard? It's Christmas. Now, go on home, take the day off.
Yeah.
Take the week off.
Oh.
Come back when you feel like it. Merry Christmas.
Mr. Scrooge?
Yeah?
Merry Christmas.
And Scrooge really did it. He was as good as his word, better even. He made it the merriest Christmas ever. And later, things got better, and he took care of Tiny Tim. And sure enough, Tim was out on his sled the next Christmas doing belly whoppers with the best of them. Every Christmas thereafter, all along the big street, it was said, if anyone knew how to make Christmas merry, old Ebenezer Scrooge was that one.
And I hope that can really be said about all of us, just like Tiny Tim said.
God bless us, everyone.
That's right, Tim. God bless us, everyone.
Merry Christmas. God bless everyone.
Oh, Rick.
Yes, Helen?
That was wonderful. Not quite the way Dickens wrote it, but it meant the same thing.
Oh, you really like it, baby?
Oh, I loved it. No reason in the world why old Scrooge couldn't have been living right here today. You've got the spirit, and that's what counts. How did you like it, Walt?
Rick, I gotta hand it to you. It was really great.
Lieutenant.
Yeah, what is it, Otis?
How'd I do in the play?
You were magnificent, Sergeant.
You know, I'll bet if I studied for a couple of weeks, I'd get me a part on Broadway. To be or not to be? That's the question.
Oh, no.
Now, Walt, leave him alone.
Oh, sure. Monsieur Otis. Huh? Wouldst thou accompany me over to the punch bowl for a short flagon of nectar?
Sure, I would.
See you later, Helen. Rick? Yeah. Come on, Barrymore. Let's see if the punch bowl fits your head.
Oh, aren't they lovely?
You want something to eat?
Hey, wait a minute.
What's the matter?
Listen.
They're out here by this window.
Come on, let's go listen.
That carol, fa la 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 la. See the blazing new before us, fa la 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 la. Strike the harp and join the chorus, fa la 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 la. Follow me in merry measure, fa la 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 la. While a girl of youth and treasure, fa la 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 la.
Oh, wasn't that wonderful, Rick?
It sure was.
Rick, sing something with them.
Oh, no, honey, I don't want to loss it. Yeah?
Please, Rick, come on.
All right. I tell you what I'll do. Everybody usually sings Christmas songs about snow. I'm going to sing one about sunshine. It's called Melikalikimaka.
Melikalikimaka?
Well, it means Merry Christmas in Hawaiian.
In Hawaii?
Sure. It's a brand new song. They love it over there, and we'll love it here. Melikalikimaka is the thing to say, and haole makahihi-ho. That's our Christmas greeting in Hawaii, and a happy new year, too. With the hope that Christmas may be green and bright, the sun to shine by day and all the stars at night. Melikalikimaka is Hawaii's way to say Merry Christmas to you.
With the hope that Christmas may be green and bright, the sun to shine by day, and all the stars that night.
Melikalikimaka is Hawaii's way to say Merry Christmas to you.
Rick.
Mm-hmm.
Merry Christmas.
Yes. And a Merry Christmas to everybody.
Pennsylvania, radio station WBRE today is celebrating its silver anniversary of serving the people of the coal country with better programming. From all of us in Hollywood, congratulations to NBC affiliate WBRE on 25 years of broadcasting and best wishes for another 25. Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, private detective, will return to the air at a new day and time, Sunday, January 15th. Till then, this is Eddie King relaying our best wishes for the holiday season. Now hear Home for Christmas and Hopalong Cassidy on NBC.
This is Bill Leonard in in the forecourt of the Church of St. Peter on Vatican Hill in Rome. It's Christmas Day here in the Eternal City, but this usually joyous occasion may turn out to be a bitter disappointment. For on this Christmas morning in the year 800, Charlemagne, king of the Franks and ruler of Western Europe, was to have become the emperor of Rome. But Charlemagne's absence up to this moment seems to revive a previous rumor that the king will not attend the Christmas Mass at which he was to be offered the crown by Pope Leo III. Disappointment has spread among this huge crowd waiting for the procession to begin, quenching their holiday spirit. The intense anticipation with which these people gathered has turned to gloom.
Christmas Day of the year 800 in Rome. You are there.
Amid the pageantry of Christmas in Rome, Pope Leo III waits to offer Charlemagne the crown of the vast Roman Empire. CBS takes you back 1,149 years to a turning point in the history of Rome and of the world. All things are as they were then, except for one thing. With all the modern facilities of radio present, and CBS newsmen reporting from the scene,
You are there.
You Are There is based on authentic historical fact and quotation. And now,
Christmas Day in the year 800. The Church of St. Peter in Rome and Bill Leonard.
As we reported earlier, the decision to offer Charlemagne the crown was made only 2 days ago at a conclave of Roman nobles and prelates. Then came the rumor that Charlemagne's council was pressing him to refuse. It was thought the Frankish king would disregard his counsel and accept the crown from Pope Leo until he failed to appear here this morning. As you know, the marble portico where we're standing opens into the forecourt of the Church of St. Peter. This portico is the traditional starting point of the annual Christmas procession into the great basilica. Pope Leo is waiting in his chambers inside the church. He won't emerge until Charlemagne arrives, if he arrives. The king is at his temporary residence, the Castle of San Angelo, directly below us. So over to the Castle of San Angelo, Don Hollenbeck reporting.
the sentries here won't let anyone into the castle to speak to the king's secretary, Egenhard. However, I have been able to learn that a last-minute conference is going on inside. Charlemagne's council is making an 11th-hour effort to dissuade him from attending this mass. Gregorius, Cardinal Bishop of Ostia, was here just a few moments ago to see Charlemagne. He came at the behest of Pope Leo. There's nothing else to report right now. I'll stand by and keep you posted if something does develop. This is Don Hollenbeck. Now back to Bill Leonard.
The spectators here are beginning to show impatience. There are thousands of people between this portico and the entrance to St. Peter's, and some of them are shouting for Charlemagne. They want Charlemagne to be crowned emperor. That would regain for Rome her place as capital of the Roman Empire, the place Rome lost 5 centuries ago to the new Rome of Constantine, now called Constantinople, of course. These people don't pay any attention to the fact that the Empress Irene in Constantinople is the nominal ruler of the empire, because Rome has achieved virtual independence under the protectorship of the Frankish kings. The people of Rome are eager now to renounce their allegiance to Irene and elevate Charlemagne, emperor of all Rome, in her place. Cardinal Gregorius has just returned from his audience with Charlemagne. The cardinal is tall, slender, aesthetic-looking. Our CBS Special Events Director is speaking to him now. The cardinal nods. He's walking this way. Cardinal Gregorius, Your Eminence, it's very good of you to grant us an interview, sir.
Not at all, my son.
Your Eminence, you've spoken with Charlemagne. Will the king attend the Mass today?
The king is not yet decided.
Is it true, Cardinal, that Charlemagne's council is urging him not to attend?
Yes.
The council urges him not to accept the crown?
Yes.
Well, do you think Charlemagne will follow their advice?
Let us pray that Charlemagne will overrule his misguided advices and come forth. He must honor the oath he has sworn to defend Christendom against her enemies.
But Your Eminence, Charlemagne is already the ruler of Western Europe and the protector of Rome.
My son, the barbarians threaten from the Northland. The Saracens attack us from Spain. Their raiders pillage the coast of Italy itself.
Constantinople is far away, and Empress Irene is a woman. These infidels regard her rule over vast regions of the Roman Empire as a sign of Christian weakness. It encourages them to attack.
But if Charlemagne accepts the crown, Your Eminence, wouldn't that be a usurpation of Irene's authority?
Usurpation? That Jezebel, that corrupt, iniquitous woman, she is the usurper. How did she come to the throne? By stabbing out the eyes of her own son, the Emperor Constantine, by murder. Legally, the throne is vacant.
Well, does the Pope have the authority to bestow the crown on Charlemagne?
My son, His Holiness Pope Leo is God's vicar on earth. There can be no higher authority than that of the Holy Fathers. And now I must join my colleagues, if you will excuse me.
Thank you, Cardinal Gregorius. His Eminence has joined a group of prelates nearby. As you heard, the Cardinal has challenged Empress Irene's legal right to sit on the throne. CBS reporter Larry Lasser is standing by in Constantinople, and we'll take you there for comment as soon as arrangements have been completed. We can just barely hear trumpets down below in the courtyard of the Castle of San Angelo. What's happening there, Don? Over to Don Hollenbeck.
Charlemagne will attend the Christmas Mass. I'll repeat that important news. Charlemagne will attend the Christmas Mass. He's just emerged from the great circular castle. The king is flanked by his royal bodyguards, shields on their left arms, their swords clanking at their sides. They're striding now along the colonnade that extends up Vatican Hill to the forecourt of St. Peter's, and this may very well mean that the king, against the advice of his counselors, has decided to accept the crown. Charlemagne's dressed in Roman costume, and that may be another sign that he has decided to become emperor of the Romans. He wears an embroidered toga, a white tunic over it, and he wears Roman sandals. In front of the king march about 50 Frankish nobles. They're resplendent in fine linen and furs. The soldiers, I can still see them. They're marching in perfect unison. These are picked troops, veterans of the victorious campaigns against the Saxons, the Mongols, and the Lombards. And now they've come to a halt near the end of the colonnade. Charlemagne proceeds alone, and in a moment or two he'll have reached the portico in the forecourt of the church. So back to the portico and Bill Leonard.
Leo left the church a few moments ago and has arrived to meet Charlemagne. He wears the white cassock and pallium of his office on his head. I can see the golden paper crown suspended from his neck by a chain of gold with a large golden cross studded with jewels. Charlemagne has reached the portico. The Pope has proceeded to the top of the steps to place the reins for the meeting. Now the king bows his head. He and the Holy Father touch cheeks in the ceremonial embrace.
Pax Domini Tibi, et cum spiritu tuo.
Pope Leo has greeted Charles, who replies in the traditional manner. Now the Pope turns to the leader of the Schola Cantorum. He nods. The leader motions to the choir. Now the choir is chanting Hodie Christus Natus Est. The choir will be the first group, and now the procession begins. The choir is starting to move into the courtyard towards the Basilica of St. Peter. The other contingents of the procession, clergy and laity, fall into line behind the choir. It's a brilliant scene. Sumptuously attired nobles of Rome and Franklin, the hierarchy in white, black, purple, and crimson are moving there with slow and solemn step. By tradition, Pope Leo, accompanied by Charlemagne, will be the last to join in the procession. It will be some time before they reach the church. The procession must pass through that mass of worshippers and spectators who are jamming every inch of the great courtyard. Jack Walters is out there at the far end of the courtyard near the entrance of the church, so over to Jack Walters.
Bill, people are pushing and shoving all around me here, trying to get a glimpse of the procession, which is still some distance away. The news of Charlemagne's appearance has overjoyed crowd. They're shouting, "Long live the Pope! Long live the King!" People here take it as a sure indication that he'll agree to the coronation. With me is a woman who got here about 6 o'clock this morning to get a place in the front row of spectators. Would you tell us your name, please, madam?
I am Donna Hera. I make gowns for the best-dressed ladies of Rome. The newest styles and the finest materials and workmanship, even if I do say so myself.
Oh, seamstress?
I design clothes for the noblest women.
I beg your pardon. Donna Hera, I assume you know His Holiness will offer Charlemagne the crown today?
Oh, yes, and I'm delighted. I don't approve of women holding public office, especially a woman like Irene of Constantinople. You know what they say about her morals. Our ruler should be a man, especially a man like Charlemagne. He's so handsome. Of course, it'd be a good thing for business, too.
For business?
Oh, yes, yes. If Charlemagne were emperor, the imperial court would be here in Rome. That would be good for the Roman merchants. My ladies could then order as many new gowns as they like.
Thank you, Donna Hera.
Yes.
Now, here's a man. Judging from the dust on his clothes, I guess he's come a long distance to be here today. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, from Sicily I've come.
The island of Sicily, that is a long way. Would you tell us your name, please?
Donatus, sir.
Now, Donatus, do you want Charlemagne to become emperor?
Yes.
Why?
Because I'm a farmer.
Yes?
Because we Sicilians are subjects of Constantinople. Our governor is appointed by the Empress Irene.
Go on.
Because the governor, sensualist, steals the bread from our mouths. No matter how large our harvest, our bellies are empty. Because the governor's tax collectors rob us.
But, Donatus, if Charlemagne becomes emperor, it may take a war to drive Irene's governor out of Sicily. Would the Sicilian peasants be willing to fight to liberate your island?
Yes. I, too, if we must.
Well, Donatus, perhaps your island of Sicily will soon see better times. Thank you. The huge crucifix borne at the vanguard of the procession is still some distance away. Don Hollenbeck at Charlemagne's residence, the Castle of St. Angelo, has arranged for an interview with Count Egenhard, member of Charlemagne's staff. So, over now to Don Hollenbeck.
Count Egenhard, who's here with me at our CBS microphone, is one of Charlemagne's chief advisors and his personal secretary. He didn't accompany the king to St. Peter's because he's confined to his apartment here with the leg injury incurred during the journey to Rome. Count Egenhard, does Charlemagne's decision to escort Pope Leo to St. Peter's mean that he will accept the crown of the Roman Empire?
No, absolutely no. Not at all. We wanted to avoid such unfounded speculation. That is why we urged His Majesty not to go to St. Peter's.
Well, then, what was Charlemagne's reason for going?
His Majesty is a pious Christian. By attending St. Peter's, he's merely fulfilling his Christian duty.
Now, does that mean that Charlemagne will reject the crown if it's offered?
It does.
That's an official statement, sir?
It is, yes. Absolutely.
Well, now, that's the first official word we've had from the Frankish court on the question of whether Charlemagne will accept or refuse the crown. And now, if I may ask this next question, sir, why have Charlemagne's advisors counseled him against accepting the crown?
Well, that is simple, quite simple. As matters now stand, His Majesty is clearly supreme in all temporal matters, just as the Pope has been supreme in purely spiritual affairs. Now, if His Majesty accepted the imperial crown from the hands of Pope Leo, it would imply that the Church was supreme even in the political sphere. It would imply that Charlemagne owed his imperial title and powers to the Pope.
And you're afraid that might set a precedent for the future?
A dangerous precedent, very dangerous. Based on such a precedent, the Pope might, in the future, claim the right to choose the emperor. The imperial title would become meaningless. We would have rule not by royalty, but by ecclesiastic authority. That would be as bad as having an emperor named the Pope.
Well, now, is that what Charlemagne has in mind in refusing the crown?
Well, I will say this. His Majesty is aware of the danger. He will not permit such a situation to arise. And there is another danger. The danger of war, bloodshed. Constantinople would consider the coronation a threat to Empress Irene's throne.
And the Empress Irene would not hesitate to employ military force to protect her empire.
But, Count Egenhard, surely there's nothing to be afraid of in that direction. Charlemagne has certainly demonstrated his military genius often enough.
Yes, that is true. But above all, Charlemagne is a great statesman. He will not resort to war to obtain something which can be obtained by a peaceful negotiation.
Negotiations with Constantinople?
Exactly. Negotiations are already in progress.
But do you suppose the Empress Irene will yield her immensely rich empire by negotiation?
Well, she's not being asked to yield, only to arrange matters in a manner which will be beneficial to both parties.
Yes, but how can
I'm not at liberty to comment on that. Any additional information will be forthcoming in due time from the royal parties concerned. And now, if you'll pardon me...
Thank you very much, Count Egenhard. As you've heard, a source that's considered to be highly authoritative states that Charlemagne will, under no circumstances, accept the crown from Pope Leo today. According to Count Egenhard, Charlemagne has chosen the path of negotiation with the Empress Irene. We don't know yet just what those negotiations involve. This is Don Hollenbeck at the Castle of San Angelo. Now back to Bill Leonard at the far end of the forecourt of St. Peter's.
Pope Leo and the ministers of the Mass, the last members of the procession, are about to leave this portico. Charlemagne is walking behind the prelates through the throng of spectators toward the Church of St. Peter. As we've heard, according to Count Egenhard, it appears almost certain that Charlemagne will not be crowned today. If Pope Leo offers Charlemagne the crown, it will be publicly refused. It hardly seems likely the Pope would risk a public rejection. Such a rebuff on a high holiday in full view of all Rome would reflect badly on the prestige of the Pope. So it's possible that the crown may not be offered at all. Communications with Constantinople have now been arranged. We hope we may soon know more about Charlemagne's negotiations with Empress Irene. CBS correspondent Larry Lester is standing by in the Imperial Palace. Within is Nicephorus, Empress Irene's chancellor. We take you now to Constantinople. Larry Lester reporting.
Charlemagne's secretary, Count Egenhard, has just stated in Rome that negotiations are underway with Empress Irene. Would you care to comment on the nature of these negotiations, sir?
No comment.
But Your Excellency...
If you please, Her Majesty has ordered me to communicate her attitude on the situation in Rome.
Yes, Your Excellency, but...
Charlemagne has a profound understanding of the affairs of empire. We are convinced he must be aware that Pope Leo is offering a crown which is not his to give. The rule of the empire is hereditary. When the line of succession fails, the only body on earth empowered to name the emperor is the Eastern Roman Senate. And that Senate is here in Constantinople. It's been here for 500 years. Only recently did the Senate ratify the succession of Empress Irene to the throne. Her Majesty, therefore, is the sole ruler of the empire. In her person resides the imperial might and glory of Rome. There can be no other.
Well, getting back to those negotiations, Your Excellency, according to Charlemagne's secretary,
I am not authorized to speak on negotiations which Her Majesty may or may not be conducting. Oh, now you must excuse me. Her Majesty has returned from the Holy Liturgy. I must go to meet her.
Chancellor Nicephorus has hurried out of the room. He's going to the palace entrance, and as he said, the Empress is in the palace courtyard, surrounded by her bodyguard. I can see her through an open window. She's stepped out of her chariot. She's walking toward the palace entrance, over a rich purple carpet, unrolled by servants in front of her to protect her feet from the ground. The Empress is now 48 years old, of course, but she retains much of her famous beauty. 20 years ago, when she married the late Emperor, Irene was considered one of the most beautiful women in the world. The Empress is still youthfully slim, and there are no signs of gray in her jet-black hair. She's passed through the palace entrance and now out of sight. The bodyguard cavalry have mounted their horses, and now they ride out of the courtyard. The royal chariot, however, it remains behind. It's truly an amazing vehicle, that chariot, made of hammered gold, drawn by six 6-foot white horses. The reins of each horse are held by a noble, and when the chariot is in motion, those nobles run alongside on foot.
Irene, Empress of the Romans.
The Empress has entered the room. She's coming towards the microphone. Your Majesty.
Her Majesty desires to make an announcement.
Ladies and gentlemen, Her Majesty the Empress.
citizens and subjects of the Empire. We have heard reports that Charlemagne, King of Frankland, will attempt to claim our throne. Nothing, we say nothing, could be further from the truth. To silence forever this malicious canard, we hereby announce that Charlemagne has made representations petitioning our hand in marriage. The negotiations are well advanced, proceeding in a favorable atmosphere. We are confident that Charles of the Franks will soon share our throne in marriage. In this union, Eastern and Western Christendom will be united and prosper.
Ladies and gentlemen, CBS has just brought you an exclusive statement by Her Majesty the Empress Irene. Now we know. We know why Charlemagne seems to have decided not to accept the crown from Pope Leo in Rome today. It would certainly appear unlikely that Charlemagne will accept it all, at least while these delicate and tremendously important negotiations with Constantinople are in progress. This is Larry Lasser in Constantinople. Back now to Bill Leonard in Rome.
We left our position in the portico, and we're speaking now from our broadcasting booth in the nave of the Church of St. Peter. The crown with which Pope Leo hopes to make Charlemagne Emperor of Rome, is here in the church. We saw it as soon as we entered. It's in plain view, resting on a velvet pillow on a credence table near the altar of St. Peter. It seems that in spite of everything we heard, in spite of all the evidence that Charlemagne will not accept, it appears that Pope Leo will make the offer and risk a public refusal. The crown is a worthy symbol of empire. It's richly wrought, solid gold, resplendent with precious jewels. The main body of the procession is already here and fills the center section of this great church. The choir of the Schola Cantorum and the prelates have taken up their places in the sanctuary. The Roman nobles are standing on the left side of the choir section. On the right are the Frankish counts. Everyone is awaiting the arrival of His Holiness and Charlemagne. Charlemagne has entered. He's entered. He's passed through the great portal leading from the narthex, the vestibule of the church, walking with measured tread down the nave toward the sanctuary of the church. All eyes are on Charlemagne. Everyone here has seen the crown. They must be wondering how the Pope will go about making the offer of the crown and what Charlemagne's reaction will be. They must also be wondering how a public rebuff, a rebuff that's now considered inevitable, will affect relations between the Pope and the Protector of Rome. Charlemagne has reached the sanctuary. He kneels at a prayer stool below the altar, a spot traditionally reserved for royalty. He's praying. And now the Schola Cantorum is chanting the Ecce Sacerdos Magnus. Behold the mighty priest. Subdeacon, and the acolytes, this is an awe-inspiring spectacle. A huge candelabra holding thousands of tapers, casting a soft light upon His Holiness. He moves slowly toward the sanctuary, the shrine of St. Peter. The shrine, contains the relics of the great apostle, stands over the very spot where he was crucified by the Emperor Nero. Leo has now reached the foot of the altar. Mass is about to begin. The Pope seems to be hesitating. He has not yet made the sign of the cross. Now, an acolyte has lifted the crown from the credence table. A deep hush falls over the great basilica. He hands the crown to Pope Leo. The Supreme Pontiff is going to propose the coronation now. At this moment, Pope Leo has moved a few paces. He approaches Charlemagne, the crown in his hands. The king seems lost in prayer. His head is bowed.
It's the Pope's hands stretching forward with the crown. Charlemagne looks up now. Everyone here is watching, spellbound, waiting for Pope Leo to speak, to make the formal offer. We don't know what word. Pope Leo has placed the crown on Charlemagne's head. He has crowned Charlemagne without asking leave to do so. This is completely unexpected. The congregation gasps in stunned silence.
Rise, my son.
Charlemagne rises. The king appears bewildered by the suddenness of the Pope's bold action. Pope Leo's about to speak.
Charles, protector of Rome, king of Franklin, ruler of the Saxons and the Lombards, I crown you Emperor of the Romans. Repeat after me the oath of investiture. I, Charles, Emperor, in the presence of God, swear to protect and defend the Holy Roman Church in all things to the best of my ability.
Charlemagne is silent. He's not repeating the oath. His face is expressionless. He can still undo the Pope's act by removing the crown from his head. Charlemagne can still repudiate his coronation. Charlemagne is speaking.
Emperor, in the presence of God, swear to protect and defend the Holy Roman Church to the best of my ability. Long life and victory to Charles, by God crowned Emperor of the Romans.
Charlemagne has accepted the crown. He is now Emperor of the Romans. The decision is irrevocable. Charlemagne seems to have put aside his doubts, his hesitation. He's standing there, erect, proud. The imperial crown is flashing on his head. The worshippers thronging this great basilica are exalted. The Schola Cantorum is singing the Gloria, a hymn of jubilation and thanks to the Almighty.
Christmas Day in the year 800, Charlemagne is crowned Emperor of the Romans, and Rome enters the new era of power and glory. You are there.
You've been listening to the crowning of Charlemagne in the series You Are There. Today's program was written by Michael Sklar, directed by John Dietz, and produced by the CBS Documentary Unit under the supervision of Werner Michel. Charlemagne was played by Guy Sorrell. Joseph DeSantis was Pope Leo III. Abby Lewis was Empress Irene. Ian Martin was Count Egenhard, and Charles Webster was Cardinal Gregorius. Others in the cast included Hester Sondergaard and Mercer McLeod. The choir, especially transcribed for this program, was conducted by Don Craig. You Are There is brought to you every fourth Sunday over most of these same stations. The next broadcast will be heard Sunday, January 22nd, 1950, but at a new time, at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 4 weeks from today, at 4:30...
September 1st, 1664. Peter Stuyvesant surrendered New Amsterdam to the British. You are there.
Many of the new Christmas books that we have or will receive this year are historical novels and adventure tales about America's exciting past. It will give you new pride in your country to read about the men and women who were the builders of this great democracy. Perhaps we all take our liberty too much for granted. We don't realize that freedom can be lost without constant work and vigilance on the part of every one of us. Let's resolve to be better citizens this year. This is CBS, where our Miss Brooks holds classes every Sunday night, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Hello, everybody. This is John Garfield. By way of wishing you all a very Merry Christmas, we of the Actors Company bring you an extra special holiday present. George Kaufman and Morse Hart's Broadway hit, The Man Who Came to Dinner, starring Jack Benny, Charles Boyer, Gene Kelly, Dorothy Maguire, Gregory Peck, and Rosalind Russell, with Henry Fonda as narrator, directed by Mel Ferrer.
Presenting the Hotpoint Holiday Hour. This is Marvin Miller speaking for Hotpoint, one of the world's great leaders in the development and manufacture of quality electrical appliances, who brings you Hollywood's distinguished Actors Company in The Man Who Came to Dinner, with warm-hearted wishes for a Merry Christmas, by more than 10,000 Hotpoint dealers and distributors, and the many thousands of employees who make and sell Hotpoint, America's fastest-growing line of electric appliances, all electric kitchens and home laundry equipment. And now, on with the Hotpoint Holiday Hour and The Man Who Came to Dinner. And now, transcribe your narrator, Henry Fonda.
Have you ever had a guest drop in at your house for dinner and stay for 2 weeks? I mean, aside from your relatives. There might be a better way to upset a household, but they haven't discovered one yet. Anyway, that's what our story is all about. Did you happen to see this week's Time magazine? Well, I got a copy here. Let me read it to you. Quote, caustic, Sheridan Whiteside, critic, lecturer, wit, radio orator, intimate friend of the great and near great, last week found his celebrated wit no weapon with which to combat a fractured hip. The luxury-loving Mr. Whiteside, trekking across the country on one of his annual lecture tours, met his Waterloo in the shape of a small piece of ice on the doorstep of Mr. and Mrs. Ernest Stanley of Massena, Ohio. Result, canceled lectures and disappointment to thousands of adoring club women in Omaha, Denver, and Points West. Further result, the idol of the airways rests until further notice in the home of surprise Mr. and Mrs. Stanley. Possibility Christmas may be postponed this year.
Mrs. Green, is Mr. Whiteside coming out?
Yes, Mrs. Stanley. We're getting his wheelchair ready.
Oh.
Will somebody please get that phone?
Oh, dear. Sarah, see who's at the door while I answer the phone.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm coming. I get...
We need some pillows.
Just a moment, Miss Green, until I answer the phone. Hello? Oh, yes, Mr. Whiteside is staying here.
Green, did you get the pillows?
Not yet, Dr. Bradley.
I'm sorry, but we're very busy now. You'll have to call me later. Goodbye.
Miss Green, if the pillows aren't K-pot, we'll have to get rubber foam. Mr. Whiteside doesn't like feathers.
It was the expressman again, Mrs. Stanley. 2 more boxes for Mr. Whiteside. A crate from Alaska. There's 2 penguins in it. And an octopus from William Beebe. Oh, and a piano came this morning from Arthur Rubinstein.
What about the pillows? We'll need at least 4 of them for the wheelchair.
Oh, yes, of course. Sarah, run upstairs and get 2 more pillows off Mr. Stanley's bed.
Yes, Dr. Bradley.
Mr. Whiteside wants a dozen bottles of Saratoga spring water, a copy of Bartlett's quotations, and a box of Pine Brothers cough drops.
Hello? Oh, hello, Clara. Yes, the phone's been going all day. Yes, I know. He just never goes to dinner anywhere. And then this had to happen. Poor Mr. Whiteside.
Daisy, will you please give me a moment of your attention?
Just a minute, Ernest, dear. I'm so sorry, Clara.
Daisy, I must get to the office.
I'll speak to you later, Clara. Goodbye.
Daisy, I'm sure it's a great honor, Sheridan Whiteside in our house, but it is a little upsetting. Phone going all the time, doorbell ringing, messengers.
Sandy, have the cough drops come yet? Well, they're on their way, Miss Cutler. Oh, Ernest. This is Miss Cutler, Mr. Whiteside's secretary.
How do you do?
How do you do? May I move this chair? You mean he's coming out now?
He is indeed.
Oh, Sarah. Yes, ma'am. Mr. Whiteside's coming out. Oh, Ernest.
Well, here we are, merry and bright. Miss Green, wheel our little patient out. Mr. Whiteside, these are your hosts.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Whiteside. I'm Mrs. Ernest Stanley, remember? And this is Mr. Stanley.
How do you do, Mr. Whiteside? I hope that you're better.
Thank you. I am suing you for $150,000.
You mean because you fell on our steps, Mr. Whiteside?
Jerry Giesler will explain it to you in court. And now, Mr. Stanley, I shall require the exclusive use of this room as well as that drafty sewer which you call the library.
What do you mean, sir?
My diction is excellent. I would suggest you have your ears blown.
Mr. Whiteside, if I may say...
You may not, sir.
I'll call you from the office later, Daisy.
Miss Stanley, here's the menu for lunch.
But I've already ordered lunch.
It will be sent up to you on a tray. I am using the dining room for my guests.
Oh, well, here, Sarah, prepare this menu for Mr. Whiteside. I'll have my lunch upstairs on a tray. Yes, ma'am.
Well, Mr. Whiteside, I think I can safely leave you in your secretary's capable hands. Shall I look in again this afternoon?
If you do, Dr. Bradley, I shall spit right in your eye.
Oh, what a sense of humor you writers have. By the way, Mr. Whiteside, I've written a book myself. It isn't really worth mentioning.
Then why mention it?
It's very comprehensive. I just happen to have a copy with me. It's called 40 Years an Ohio Doctor. I'll leave it here.
Yes.
It's only 2,000 pages. Will you read it?
I'll be glad to if I can lift it.
Now, keep that hip quiet and don't forget those little pills. Good day.
Maggie, will you take this 40 years in an iron lung or whatever it's called and put it in the fireplace?
Excuse me, but my name is Harriet Stanley. I know you are Sheridan Whiteside. I brought you this sprig of holly. I remember what you wrote about Kent and you, the obscure. It was the nicest present I could bring you. Goodbye.
For heaven's sake, what was that?
That? Oh, that was Mr. Stanley's sister, Harriet. I've talked to her a few times. She's quite strange.
Strange. She looks like something out of an Adams cartoon. You know, I've seen that face before somewhere.
Nonsense you couldn't have.
Oh, well, let's get down to work. What date is this?
December 10th.
Send a wire to William Paley, Columbia Broadcasting System. For a special New Year's Eve broadcast, we'll have as my guests Yasha Heifetz, Helen Hayes, Albert Einstein, the Lunts, and Maxie Rosenblum. Whiteside. Send a wire to Toscanini, counting on you January 4th, Metropolitan Opera House, for my annual benefit, Home for Parole Convicts. As you know, this is a very worthy cause and close to my heart. Tibbet, Pons, Pinza, and Margaret Truman have promised me personally to oppose. Will you have quiet supper with me and the Ritz brothers afterwards? Whiteside.
Excuse me, Mr. Whiteside.
Oh, the nurse. Now, what do you want, Miss Preen?
It's your pills. It's time to take them.
Well, don't come near me. Stay where you are and roll them over. If these people intend to have their friends using the front door...
What do you want them to use, a rope ladder?
I will not have a lot of gawking yokels rushing in and out of this house.
Oh, good morning.
There's nobody home. The Stanleys have been arrested for smuggling opium. Now go away.
Good morning, Mr. Whiteside. I'm Jefferson of the Massalia Journal.
Get rid of him.
I'm sorry, Mr. Whiteside is seeing no one.
Well, you know, if I'm going to be brushed off, I'd like it to be by Mr. Whiteside himself. I never did like carbon copies.
Not bad. And the Massalia, too.
Will you please leave, Mr. Washington?
It's Jefferson. How about an interview, Mr. Whiteside?
I never give them. And will you hand me that box of candy on your way out?
Here you are. The trouble is, Mr. Whiteside, that your being in this town comes under the heading of news, and my subscribers want their 2 cents worth.
Delicious candy. Pecan butternut fudge.
Mr. Whiteside, you mustn't eat candy, Mr. Whiteside. It's very bad for you.
Miss Preen, my great-aunt Jennifer ate a whole box of candy every day of her life. She lived to be 102, and after she was dead 3 days, she looked better than you do right now.
Really, Mr. Whiteside.
Well, I can at least report to my readers that chivalry is not yet dead.
We won't discuss it. I suppose you've written that novel.
No, I've written that play.
Well, I hope you don't expect me to read it.
Well, and how about a brief talk on famous murders? You're an authority on murder as a fine art.
My dear boy, when I talk about murder, I get paid for it.
All right. What do you think of Massalia? How long are you going to be here? Where are you going? Things like that.
Very well. A, Massalia is a town of irresistible charm. B, I cannot wait to get out of it. And C, I'm going from here to Crockfield for my annual visit to the Crockfield Home for Parole Convicts. Jefferson, did you ever hear how Crockfield started?
A couple of crooks got together and got cropped.
Sit down, This aging debutante, Mr. Jefferson, I retain in my employ only because she is the sole support of her two-headed brother.
I understand. Well, Thanks a lot, Mr. Whiteside, for being so unpleasant. Oh, by the way, I'm a cribbage player if you need one while you're here.
Fine. How much can you afford to lose?
I usually win.
Well, we'll change that. Come back at 8:30. We'll play three-handed with Beatrice Fairfax here.
Oh, Mr. Whiteside, there are 3 men here to see you. 2 of them are wearing prison uniforms, and the other one has a rifle. Mr. Whiteside, I don't know who these men are, but I will not stand
Then
here.
go upstairs.
Oh.
Those are probably my luncheon guests. Jefferson, stay for lunch. Sarah, there'll be one more.
Hello, Mr. Whiteside. Well, I brought the boys.
Fine, Sheriff, fine. Maggie, take the sheriff's rifle and put it in the umbrella stand.
Well, I guess it'll be all right, as long as I keep the cuffs on them.
Lunch is ready, Mr. Whiteside.
Good. Let's go right in. Now, let me see if I can remember your name. You're Michelson, aren't you? Butcher shop murder?
Yes, sir.
Thought I recognized you. And you're Henderson, the hatchet fiend. Always chops them up in a salad bowl. That right? Isn't it?
That's right.
Gentlemen, I must apologize. We're just having chicken, livers, tetrazzini, and cherry jubilee for dessert. I haven't got this kitchen organized yet.
Mr. Whiteside.
The chicken either.
Mr. Whiteside, those cards.
Mrs. Stanley, your presence is unwelcome. Here, serve the white wine with the fish, Sarah, and close the door. I don't want a lot of people prying on their betters.
Whiteside, wake up.
What? Oh, it's you, Miss Stomach Pump. I was dreaming of Ava Gardner, and I wake to find you. Where's Miss Cutler?
She went out with Mr. Jefferson.
That's the 4th time this week.
Be quiet, Dave. Mr. Whiteside, I want to talk to you. I don't care whether you're busy or not. I've stood all that I'm going to stand.
Indeed.
This is the last straw. Look at this bill from the telephone company. $784. Oklahoma City, Calcutta, Hollywood, Rome, New York. Now, I realize, Mr. Whiteside, that you're a distinguished man of letters.
Yes, of course.
We both do.
Please.
Oh.
But in the past week, we've not been able to call our souls our own. We've not had a meal in the dining room once. I have to tiptoe out of the house in the morning.
Now, Ernest.
Convicts sit at my dinner table. Butcher shop murderers. And furthermore, I don't like coming home to find 22 Cherokee Indians using my bathroom.
For your information, Mr. Stanley, those 22 Cherokee Indians came straight from the White House, where I assure you they used the bathroom, too.
Oh, Mr. Whiteside, my husband didn't mean...
Yes, I did. I meant every word of it.
There's only one point that you make in which I see some slight justice. I do not expect you to pay for my telephone calls. Can you provide me with the exact amount?
I certainly can, and I certainly will.
Good. I shall instruct my lawyers to deduct it from the $150,000 that I am suing you for.
Come along, Daisy, before I lose control of myself.
And I'll thank you to stay out of here till I send for you, which I doubt.
Good evening, Sherry. Really, you've got this room looking like an old parrot cage. Did you nap while I was out? What's the matter, dear? Can't run away with your tongue.
Now, don't look up at me with those big cow eyes, you moonstruck hag. Where have you been all afternoon? Smooching with Bert Jefferson?
Oh, Sherry. Bert read his play to me this afternoon. It's superb. It simply cries out for Catherine Cornell. Here, read it. And if you like it, will you send it to her, Sherry? And will you read it tonight?
No, I will not. And while we're on the subject of Mr. Jefferson, you might ask him if he wouldn't like to pay your salary, since he takes up all of your time.
Oh, Sherry, stop behaving like a spoiled child.
Will you stop acting like Zazu Pitts and explain yourself?
Well, I'll make it quick. Sherry, I'm in love.
Nonsense. This is merely delayed puberty.
No, Sherry. I'm afraid this is it. When you get out of that wheelchair and leave Massalia, I stay. You're going to lose a very excellent secretary.
I remain completely unconvinced. You are drugging yourself into this Joan Crawford fantasy, and I shall do everything in my power to bring you to your senses.
Now, you listen to me, Whiteside. I know you. I know what a devil you can be. I'm going to marry Bert if you'll have me, and don't you dare try any of your tricks. And now, if it meets with your approval, I'm going upstairs and wash my hands.
So Mr. Bert Jefferson turns out to be an Ohio Tennessee Williams. So his play is good enough for Catherine Cornell, eh? I'll fix that. Hello? Long distance, please. I want to make a transatlantic call. Hello, transatlantic operator? This is Messalia 142. I want to talk to Miss Lorraine Sheldon. 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 She's on the Queen Elizabeth. It sailed from Southampton day before yesterday. Will it take long? My name is Whiteside. Thank you.
Oh, come in, Dr. Bradley.
Good evening, Sarah. Well, good evening, Mr. Whiteside.
Come back tomorrow, would you, Doctor? I'm busy.
Now, what would be the best news I could possibly bring you?
You have hydrophobia.
No. Mr. Whiteside, you are a well man. You can get up and walk now. You can leave here tomorrow.
What do you mean?
Well, sir, I looked at those x-rays again this morning, and do you know what? I'd been looking at the wrong x-ray. I had been looking at old Mrs. Moffat's x-rays. You are perfectly, absolutely well.
Lower your voice, will you?
Huh? What's the matter? Aren't you pleased?
Naturally. This is a very unexpected bit of news, however. Dr. Bradley, I have some good news for you, too. I've been reading your book, 40 Years, what is it?
An Ohio Doctor. Yes?
Well, I consider it extremely close to being one of the great literary contributions of our time.
Mr. Whiteside.
Dr. Bradley, I have a proposition to make to you. What I would like to do is to stay here in Messalia and work with you on this book.
Oh, Mr. Whiteside, I would be so terribly honored.
Thank you. But there's just one difficulty. You see, if my radio sponsors were to learn that I'm well, I would be forced to leave Messalia. Therefore, we must not tell anyone that I'm well enough to get out of this wheelchair.
I see.
Not even my secretary, Miss Cutler. You understand?
Oh, yes. When do we start work? Tonight? I've just got one patient that's dying, and then I'll be perfectly free.
I'll see you tomorrow morning. This is a private call. Would you forgive me? Hello? Yes, I'm on. Tomorrow morning, Doctor.
Tomorrow morning it is. You've made me very proud, Mr. Whiteside. Good night.
Yes, this is Mr. Whiteside. Put him on. Hello, is this my Lorraine? Blossom girl, when did you land in New York? Tuesday? That's fine. Now, listen closely, my pet. I've discovered a play with a wonderful part in it for you. Now, wait, let me tell you. The author is a young newspaper man in this town. Of course, he wants Kathleen Cornell, but if you jump on a train and get right out here... No, he's young and very attractive. Just your dish. Isn't that exciting? Now, look, don't send me any messages. Just get on a train, drop in, and I'll act surprised. Good. Goodbye, my blossom.
Whiteside, time for your medicine.
Hello, Miss Preen. You're looking radiant this evening.
What? Mr. Whiteside, don't you feel well?
Harry, I'm sorry for what I said before. I'm afraid I was a little unjust.
That's all right, Maggie. We all lose our tempers now and then.
I promised to have dinner with Bert and go to a movie, but we'll come back and play cribbage with you instead.
Fine. Take your time, Maggie. Enjoy yourself.
See you soon, Jerry, dear. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, darling. If there's a bigger louse than I am, I want to meet him.
In just a moment, Act 2 of The Man Who Came to Dinner. And now, a brief pause for station identification. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. At Hotpoint, we're as old-fashioned in our ideas about Christmas as we are modern in our ideas about electric appliances. So instead of spending a lot of time describing our brilliant new line of Hotpoint quality appliances for 1950, we feel it's a good deal more appropriate to thank you for the way you've welcomed our appliances into your homes and for the confidence you've placed in the name Hotpoint. It is, after all, your recognition of Hotpoint value which has made us one of the world's largest manufacturers in the appliance field. More people choose Hotpoint ranges, water heaters, and dishwashers than any other make. More than 5 times as many people are buying Hotpoint refrigerators today as in 1939. Also, there are more Hotpoint ranges in use than any other kind. And Hotpoint is the world's largest manufacturer of commercial electric cooking equipment for hospitals, naval craft, restaurants, and hotels. We sincerely believe all Hotpoint products you can buy today are the very finest that experience, research, superb craftsmanship, and engineering can produce. And now the second act of The Man Who Came to Dinner.
Hello? Will you get me Miss Lorraine Sheldon at the Mansion House, please? No, I don't know the number. I'm not Errol Flynn. Hello? Mansion House? This is Mr. Whiteside again. Has Miss Sheldon arrived yet? Hasn't, eh? Thank you. Nobody around. I wonder if I dare get up this wheelchair. Uh-oh, somebody's coming. Back in the saddle again.
Oh, Mr. Whiteside. Here's a telegram for you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Excuse me, Mr. Whiteside. I'll answer the door.
Well, it's a wire from Monty Woolley. Oh, well.
I've come to see Mr. Whiteside. Will you tell him Miss Sheldon is here?
Lorraine, my blossom girl.
Jerry, my sweet old darling. Look at that poor, sweet, tortured face. Let me kiss it. Oh, you poor darling. Your eyes have a kind of gallant compassion. How drawn you are. Oh, Sherry, my sweet, I want to cry.
All right. You've made a very nice entrance. Now relax.
Oh, but Sherry, darling, I've been so worried. And now seeing you in that ghastly chair.
This wheelchair fits my curves beautifully. Now come out from behind that hat and tell me everything. You look a little like Hedda Hopper. How are you, my dear?
Oh, darling, I just dashed through New York. Didn't do a thing about Christmas. And London before that was magnificent, my dear. Well, I simply never got to bed at all, but not at all. I simply can't stop to tell you.
Well, why not start with the dirt first? That's what I want to hear. What about that fish face, the Marquis de la Roche? Haven't you hooked him yet?
Now, Sherry, please. Pierre is a very dear friend of mine.
Now, Blossom Girl, this is Sherry. Don't tell me you wouldn't like to be the Marquise de la Roche with $100,000 a year. By the way, is he still as wrinkled as ever? His neck reminds me of a convertible with the top halfway down.
Now, Jerry, really. Pierre may not be young, but he's rather sweet, poor lamb. And he's very fond of me.
The Marquise de la Roche. Won't Kansas City be surprised?
Mr. Whiteside, did you get a chance to...
Not yet, Dr. Bradley. I'm busy.
Who's that?
He fixes the plumbing. Now, come on, Lorraine. I want more news.
But, Jerry, now, what about this play? I've been so excited ever since your phone call.
Well, here's the situation. This young newspaper man, Bert Jefferson, brought me the play with the understanding that I sent it to Kit Cornell. Now, that's fair warning. The rest is up to you.
Jerry, look. Bert has just given me the most heavenly... Oh, hello, Maggie. I knew you must be around somewhere. How are you, darling? Hello, Lorraine.
Isn't Bert with you? Oh, here he is. This is Bert Jefferson. Lorraine, young newspaper man.
Oh?
Miss Lorraine Sheldon.
How do you do, Miss Sheldon?
Jefferson. Why, Mr. Jefferson. You don't look like a newspaper man. You don't look like a newspaper man at all.
Oh, really? I thought it was written all over me.
Oh, no, not at all. I should have said you were, I don't know, a jet pilot or an explorer or something. They have that same kind of dash about them. I'm simply enchanted with your town, Mr. Jefferson. Tell me, have you lived here all your life?
Not yet.
If you wish to hear the story of his life, Lorraine, kindly do so on your own time. Maggie and I have work to do. Now get out of here, Jefferson. On your way, Blossom.
Oh, he's the world's rudest man, isn't he? Can I drop you, Mr. Jefferson? I'm going down to the Mansion House, I think it's called.
Oh, thank you, but I've got my car. Suppose I drop you.
Oh, would you? That'll be lovely. We'll send the taxi off. I'll see you in a little while, Jerry. Bye, Maggie.
Goodbye, Mag. Am I invited back for dinner?
Yes, you are. At Christmas, I always feed the needy. Now, please stop oozing out. Get out.
Oh, come on now, Mr. Jefferson. I want to hear more about this charming little town of yours. And I want to hear a good deal more about you.
She's looking very well, isn't she?
What's that? Who?
That fox in mink. surprise, wasn't it? Her dropping in?
See who that is, will you, Maggie?
Oh, all right. Marcel!
Maggie, you look ravishing. You may kiss me.
Marcel! Come in here, you amorous ham, and gaze upon a soul in agony.
Anna, please don't tell me how you are, Sherry. I've only 10 minutes between trains, so the conversation will be entirely about me, and I shall love it. How are you, Sherry?
I'm fine, you love-bitten Latin. Now, how was the trip?
Wonderful. I've never given of myself so freely. By the way, did I not see that refugee from Reno, La Sheldon, as I came in?
You did indeed. Santa dropped a clinker down the chimney.
Ah, dear Lorraine. She would flirt with a chimpanzee if she thought he had money. Sherry, my evil one, not only have I produced the finest comedy since Molière, but also the best review since my last one. I shall act in it, of course, for 8 weeks in Paris, 6 in New York. Then I leave for a trip to Bali to meet Simone. Now, Maggie, my sweet, why don't you desert this lump of tapioca and come with me?
Oh, Marcel, dear, be careful. You're catching me at a good moment.
Tell me, Monsieur Bouquet, did you have a good time in Hollywood? How long were you there?
3 unbelievable days. I saw everyone, from Colette Colbert to Gorgeous George. They came to me on their knees, as to a shrine. I was charming to them, of course, but I refused $7 million to star in a picture with Gertrude Lawrence and Lassie.
What about banjos? You see that maniac in Hollywood?
Oh, just for a moment. Then the place blew up.
Mr. Whiteside. No, not now, Doctor. Go away.
Are you hiding someone, Shirley?
Yes, Dr. Kinsey. Go ahead, Marcel. More dirt. What happened at Monte Carlo?
Well, I tell you, no one is playing roulette this season. Everyone is betting on Lorraine to marry the Marquis. Oh, Maggie, have you ever met the Marquis de la Roche?
No.
He sounds a little bit like this. oh, my chérie, we are alone at last. And you are so beautiful. Oh, smell the air. It's so invigorating. Actually, after I get over this attack, would you think me too forward if I kissed your hand?
That's the Marquis right down to his last week.
Oh, you're making it up, Marcel. No one sounds like that.
Oh, but you don't know Pierre.
Maggie, whoever that is, get rid of him.
Hello? Oh, hello, Bert. Oh, well, just a minute. Marcel, would you talk to a newspaper man just for 2 minutes? It would mean so much to him.
Surely the time is so short.
Well, then, would you see him at the station just before the train leaves? Just for a minute.
All right, for you, yes.
Bert, go to the station and wait for him. He'll be there in a few minutes. Bye.
Well, I must go, Sherry. Hurry up and get out of that wheelchair. I'll see you in Paris.
Goodbye, Marcel. Give my regards to Simone.
Wait, Marcel. I'll walk to the door with you. Marcel, I'm in great trouble. I've fallen in love for the first time in my life, and Sherry's doing everything he can to break it up.
Oh, the old scoundrel. What's he doing?
Well, he's brought Lorraine here to smash it, and you know Lorraine. I've got to get her out of here. The farther away, the better, and you can do it for me.
But how? I'm leaving.
Well, let me explain a little idea I just got. When you get to the station...
Maggie. Who's Sherry?
In the library, working on its script.
Oh, of course, the Christmas Eve program. Oh, by the way, what time does Marcel get here? I'm not over anxious to meet him.
He's been and gone.
Oh.
Tell me, Lorraine, have you found a new play yet?
No, I haven't.
Did you know that Mr. Jefferson had written quite a good play? The young man that drove you to the hotel.
Oh, really? No, I didn't. Isn't that interesting?
Yes. Isn't it? Oh, I'll get it. Hello? Yes? Miss Lorraine Sheldon?
Huh?
Why, yes, she's here. Here, there's a transatlantic call coming through for you, Lorraine.
Transatlantic for me? Here? What in the world?
It's from Monte Carlo.
Monte Carlo? Hello? Hello? Pierre! Why, what a surprise. How'd you know I was here? Darling, your asthma sounds worse. Well, you're wheezing. Oh, yes, I can hear you very clearly. It's as though you were just around the corner. Oh, I see. What? Oh, darling. darling, you don't know how I've prayed for this every... Oh, darling, yes. Yes, 1,000 times, yes. Oh, dear, I'll take a plane right out of here and catch the next boat. What? Pierre, you're wheezing so. Yes, I love you, my darling. Oh, so much. Oh, you've made me the happiest girl in the world. Goodbye, darling, goodbye. Sherry!
What's all the yammering now?
Oh, Sherry, Pierre's just called me from Monte Carlo. He's asked me to marry him. Well, I've got to get right out there and catch the next boat.
Lorraine, are you going to toss away the best part of your career to marry that reasonable facsimile of an accordion?
Really, I haven't got time to argue. Now, Maggie, you must help me.
Why, I'd be delighted. I have a timetable right here for you. You can make a Friday sailing.
Oh, Maggie, darling, you are wonderful.
Lorraine, you're making a big mistake.
Oh, Maggie, what's the number of that hotel I'm at?
Messelia 32.
Messelia 32, please.
Oh, look out the window, Sherry. It's starting to snow. Isn't that wonderful? Oh, I never felt more like Christmas in my life. Don't you, Sherry, dear?
Shut your nasty little face.
Give me my room, will you please? Oh, Cosette. Now, listen carefully, Cosette. We're leaving here tonight by plane and sailing Friday for Monte Carlo. Now, I want you to send 3 cables for me. Ready? The first one goes to Lord and Lady Cunard. My darlings, returning Friday. Pierre and I, being married immediately on arrival, wanted you to be the first to know. Love, Lorraine. Now, send the same message to Picasso, General de Gaulle, the Marchioness de Valmy, and my mother in Kansas City. You got that? Now, you'll have to rush, Cosette. I'll be at the hotel in about half an hour, so be ready. Bye. Oh, well, life is just full of surprises, isn't it? Now, who would have thought an hour ago that I'd be on my way to Monte Carlo?
Hello, everybody. Say, do you know it's snowing out? We're going to have a real old-fashioned Christmas.
Why don't you telephone your scoop to Luella Parsons?
First, Miss Sheldon has to catch a plane tonight from Toledo. Can we drive over, you and I?
Why, certainly. Oh, sorry you have to go, Miss Sheldon. No bad news, I hope?
Oh, on the contrary. Very good news. Wonderful news.
Oh, good. I got some pretty good news myself. A 2-minute interview with Marcel Duval at the station. You're right, Mr. Whiteside. He's quite a boy.
Oh, Sherry, I almost forgot. Have you seen this bracelet Bert gave me for Christmas? Isn't it beautiful?
Ducky.
You know, I was lucky to get even 2 minutes with Duval. He was in a telephone booth most of the time. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but from the face he was making, it looked like a scene from one of his plays.
And look at the inscription here.
Just a minute. Jefferson, Mr. Duval was in a telephone booth at the station?
Yeah, it certainly was. I thought he'd never come out. He kept wheezing, making the funniest faces for about 5 minutes.
Bert, will you mix some cocktails? I think I'm going to need a drink.
Fine, I'll be back in a jiffy. I've got a new recipe for martinis that'll really open your eyes.
They're already open. Lorraine, my blossom, hand me the phone.
Here, Sherry.
Operator, has there been a call from Monte Carlo over this telephone within the past half hour? Yes, I'll wait.
Sherry, what is this?
What's that? There have been no calls from Monte Carlo for the past week? Thank you. Now, will you repeat that, please? Lorraine, hold this receiver to your shell-like ear. Hear that, dear?
Yes.
Thank you, operator, and a Merry Christmas.
Sherry, now what is all this? What's going on? What does this mean?
Lorraine, you have just played the greatest love scene of your career with your old friend Marcel Duval.
Now, Sherry, stop it. I want this thing explained.
Explained? You heard the operator, my pet. All I can tell you is that Marcel was indulging in one of his famous imitations, that's all. You've heard him do Pierre before, haven't you?
Yes, of course, but why should he want to do such a thing? Oh, those cables.
Now, steady, my blossom.
Take it easy. Steady. Do you realize that I'll be the laughing stock of Europe? I always knew that Marcel Duval was a stinker. Well, why would he try to ship me over to Monte Carlo like that on a fool's errand?
Cocktails are ready. Only 10 to a customer.
Oh, I think I begin to... Of course, that's it. Of course, that's it. Mr. Jefferson, that's a very charming bracelet you gave Maggie, isn't it, Maggie, dear? If I were you, I'd hang on to that bracelet, dear. It'll be something to remember him by.
Well, you're still here, Miss Sheldon? I thought you were leaving.
I've changed my plans. Wild horses couldn't drag me out of here now.
Really? Well, good.
And I hear you have written a simply marvelous play, Mr. Jefferson. I want you to read it to me tonight. Will you? We'll go right back to the mansion house now, and you'll read me your play.
Well, I should say so. I'd be delighted. Maggie, did you hear that? Come on, Miss Sheldon. Let's have at it.
Yes, let's have at it.
Oh, Maggie, this would be a good time for me to go over my radio script. Where is it?
On the table.
Oh, yes, thank you. Let's see this now.
Jerry, I think you're the meanest man I've ever met.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Whiteside speaking. On this eve of eves, when my own heart is overflowing with peace and kindness,
The most contemptible...
I would like to tell you the story of Elias T. Crosby.
Fast slow.
Some 13 years... Over the years, the name Hotpoint has become one of the most valued among electric appliances. The reason is best expressed in our slogan. You can look to Hotpoint for the finest first. And that's certainly no idle statement. 45 years ago, for example, we built the very first electric range. Last year, Hotpoint was first again with a great new contribution to cooking ease and convenience. Hotpoint push-button cooking. We pioneered and perfected the electric dishwasher, too, and still lead the field with the only front-opening automatic dishwasher that has Cal-Rod electric drying and a table top. Hotpoint was also first to dream of all-electric kitchens and laundry. We've made scores of other important advancements throughout our entire line of Hotpoint quality electric ranges, refrigerators, food freezers, dishwashers, disposols, water heaters, automatic washing machines, dryers, ironers, and matched kitchen cabinets. In fact, not only ours, but all makes of electric appliances are better today because of Hotpoint's pioneering and leadership. Right now, more than ever before, it pays to look to Hotpoint for the finest first. And now for Act 3 of The Man Who Came to Dinner. Miss Preen, prune face.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Where do you disappear to all the time, my lady nausea?
Mr. Whiteside, I can only be in one place at a time.
That is very fortunate for this community. Now go away and take this medicine with you. You remind me of last week's laundry.
I'm taking the 1 o'clock train, Sherry. I'm leaving.
Just a moment, Betty Davis. What are you trying to do? Honestly, Maggie, sometimes you can be very annoying.
You know, you're quite wonderful, Sherry, in a way. You're annoyed. Shall I tell you something? I think you're a selfish, petty egomaniac, and I was a fool for ever thinking I could trust you.
Well, as long as I live, I shall never do anyone a good turn again. I won't ask you to apologize, Maggie, but 6 months from now, you will be thanking me.
In 6 months, Sherry, I expect to be so far away from you, you couldn't find me with radar.
Merry Christmas, Maggie. Hi, Mr. Whiteside. Maggie, I've been calling you all evening. Why didn't you pick up the phone?
Well, I didn't feel up to it. How'd you hit it off with Madame Dubarry?
Miss Sheldon, well, she says the play needs just a little fixing. We could do it in 3 weeks. She thinks we ought to go to New York together and work on it. Oh? Well, Maggie, won't you say something?
I'm just too happy for words.
Look, Bert, why don't you...
Mr. Whiteside.
Uh-oh, Dr. Jekyll again.
Mr. Whiteside, I thought perhaps if I came very early, we could talk about my book.
Dr. Bradley, I'm starting that diet you put me on. Would you fix me 2 poached eggs on rye crisp and eat it yourself?
Yes, of course.
Come on, Doc. I'll buy you breakfast. See you later, Maggie.
Now, listen to me, Maggie. I'm willing to forgive your silly outburst and talk about this calmly.
I love him. Oh, Sherry. Sherry, why did you do it? Well, I'd better go upstairs and finish packing. Merry Christmas, Mr. Whiteside.
Huh? Oh, Merry Christmas, Miss Stanley.
I'm afraid I shouldn't be seen talking to you, Mr. Whiteside. My brother is terribly angry, but I just couldn't resist asking. Did you like my Christmas present?
Yes, it was very thoughtful of you, Miss Stanley. I'm fond of these old photographs. Thank you so much.
I was 22 when that was taken. That was my favorite dress. Well, I'd better go back to my room before I'm seen. Goodbye. Goodbye.
What is there about her face? So familiar. Miss Preen. Miss Preen!
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Answer the door, will you?
Aha! A female! Come in, Doctor. You're the first woman I've seen in 20 minutes. Oh, I love you. I love you, Madness. Here, kiss me. Kiss me again. Don't be afraid of my passion. I can feel the hot blood pounding through your back.
Banjo! Banjo!
Whiteside, how are you, Whiteside? Will you please pay for this package?
Put that woman down, Banjo. That's my nurse, Miss Bedtray. Banjo, you reformed school fugitive. How'd you get here anyway?
Jerry Wald loaned me his reindeer. Whiteside, we finished shooting the picture yesterday, and I'm on the way to Nova Scotia.
What?
Flew here in 12 hours. Borrowed a plane from Howard Hughes. Whiteside, I brought you a wonderful Christmas present. Here. This girdle was once worn by Dolores Del Rio.
Hey, listen, you idiot. How long can you stay?
Just long enough to take a bath. I'm on the way to Nova Scotia. Where's Maggie?
Nova Scotia? What are you going to Nova Scotia for?
I'm sick of Hollywood. Besides, there's a dame in New York I don't want to see, so I figured I'd go to Nova Scotia and get some smoked salmon. Where's Maggie?
Upstairs in her room.
I'm going up and see her. If I'm not back in half an hour, come up and save me.
Banjo, I'm very annoyed at Maggie. After all these years, she's repaying my affection by behaving like Stella Dallas.
What are you talking about?
How was I supposed to know that she was really in love with him?
In love with who? I just got here, remember?
I'm telling you, you Hollywood nitwit. A young newspaper man here in town.
Maggie finally fell. Well, what do you know? So,
Lorraine Sheldon happened to come out here and visit me.
Tiger Lil, here?
Yep. And this young fellow has written a play. You can guess the rest. He's going to New York with Lorraine to rewrite.
Oh. Say, wait a minute. What do you mean Lorraine Sheldon happened to come out here? Sherry, I smell a rat. A rat in a wheelchair.
Well, all right, but I did it for Maggie. I thought it was the right thing for her.
Oh, sure, you haven't thought of yourself in years.
Oh, Mr. Whiteside, I have some cookies here for you.
Thank you. Not bad.
But they were for Mr. Whiteside.
Never mind, Sarah. He's crazy.
And hungry. Come, Petrushka. We will dance in the snow until all St. Petersburg is aflame with jealousy. Come to the kitchen with me.
Mr. Whiteside, I am quitting. My address is on the desk inside. You can send me a check.
Do you realize, Miss Preen, that this is completely unprofessional?
I do indeed. I am not only walking out on this case, Mr. Whiteside. I am leaving the nursing profession. From now on, anything that I can do to help exterminate the human race will fill me with the greatest of pleasure.
Well, you can start with yourself first. Good day.
Good day.
Mr. Whiteside.
Now, what do you want, Stanley?
Come in, Sheriff.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Whiteside, this gentleman is the deputy sheriff. If you're not out of this house in 15 minutes, he will forcibly eject you, baggage, wheelchair, penguins, and octopus. I am now going upstairs to smash our radio, so that not even accidentally will I ever hear your voice again.
You can't miss it today. Sure you don't want my autograph, old fellow?
15 minutes, Mr. Whiteside.
You are magnificent. Fly with me to Valhalla. I will build you a restaurant and we'll barbecue Duncan Hines. Anything new, Whiteside?
No, Banjo. Maggie's taking the 1 o'clock train out, and I have exactly 15 minutes in which to pull out of my hat the biggest rabbit you've ever seen.
What do you mean, 15 minutes?
My host has sworn out a warrant. I'm being kicked out. Open the door, Sarah. Probably some mustard gas from Kaufman and Hart.
Yes, sir. Oh, good morning. Is Mr. Whiteside up yet? Yes, Miss Sheridan.
Oh.
Merry Christmas, darling. Birthday is magnificent. I've come here to have Christmas breakfast with you. Oh, Banjo. What a surprise. How are you?
I'm fine, Lorraine, fine. How's the husband business?
Very funny, very funny. It's too bad, Banjo, that your pictures aren't as funny as you seem to think you are.
Lorraine, how can you say such things when you know I'm mad for you? Mad, you hear? M-A-D-E, mad. Let me take you out of all this and back to the stockyards. Think of anything yet, Whiteside?
Yeah, suicide.
What time does the boat sail?
10 minutes.
What boat is this?
The good ship up the creek.
Oh, dear, that's probably Bert. I told him to meet me here.
Whiteside, American Express.
Right this way, please. Oh, why, Sherry. What's that? Why, it's an Egyptian mummy case.
There's one thing I need right now. It's an Egyptian mummy case.
Hey, there's a tag on it. It says, Merry Christmas from the King of Egypt. What'd you send him, Sidney Greenstreet?
8 minutes, Mr. Whiteside, including that mummy case.
Why? What's that all about? Who is that man?
He announces the time every few minutes. I pay him a small sum.
Oh, but what on earth for, Sherry?
I lost my watch.
Oh, you know, Sherry, I think this mummy case is rather beautiful. Just think, Cleopatra might be in one just like that. A woman like myself.
But not as cold.
A woman who once lived in love, full of the same passions, fears, jealousy, hates. And what remains?
Lydia Pinkham?
Just this case and nothing more. That's all that remains. Oh, I'd like to open it and stand inside.
Yes, Banjo, yes.
Here, Lorraine, I'll open it for you. Here, try it on for size.
Here I am, another woman living out her life. I want to cry.
Lorraine, have you ever played Cleopatra?
No, Sherry, I haven't. What makes you ask that?
There was something about you. You stood next to that case. It transcended any mortal expression I've ever seen.
Huh. Yeah, it certainly did. Whiteside, what does transcended mean?
Quiet, Banjo.
Oh, now, Sherry, you're just joshing me, aren't you?
My dear, I wouldn't make light of these things. I am deeply moved. There's a strange beauty about you, Lorraine. Pure Van Gogh. I would love to see you in that mummy case.
I feel too silly, Sherry.
Lorraine, at this moment, you've shown me rare beauty. You asked me a little while ago what I wanted for Christmas.
The two front teeth?
Quiet. All that I want, Lorraine, is the memory of you in that mummy case.
Oh, my darling, I'm all choked up. All right, I'll do it.
Here, Lorraine, let me. There.
Here, I'm in.
Well, stay there.
Touchdown.
I'll kick the extra point.
Will she be all right in there?
Sure, I'll punch a couple of holes in her so she can breathe. I'll let her out as soon as we get on the plane. Wait a minute. How do we get this mummy case out of here?
Now, one thing at a time. That's the next step.
Well, think fast, Captain Hornblower. Think fast.
Banjo, I've got it.
I hope it's not catching.
Mr. Stanley's sister. I finally remembered that face.
If it was me, I'd have forgotten it long ago.
I knew I'd remember.
The time is up, Mr. Whiteside. 15 minutes.
Ah, yes, Mr. Stanley, 15 minutes. Will you do me a slight favor before I go?
I certainly will not.
Oh, I think you will, Mr. Stanley. Or shall I inform my radio audience that your sister, Harriet Stanley, is none other than the famous Harriet Sedley, who murdered her mother and father with an axe 25 years ago.
Mr. Whiteside, how did you find that out?
Now, Mr. Stanley, how would you like to have the good people of Massalia repeating that once popular little jingle? Harriet Sedley took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. And when the job was nicely done, she gave her father 41.
You win, Mr. Whiteside. What do you want me to do?
Oh, Sheriff, will you come in here, please?
Whiteside, you're a great man, and I despise myself for admitting it.
You call, sir?
Come right in, Sheriff. Mr. Stanley, would you like to help this gentleman down to the airport with this mummy case? He's sending it to a friend in Nova Scotia.
They can't get good mummies up there.
Right, Mr. Stanley?
Yes.
Sheriff, handle that case carefully. Banjo, you're wonderful. I may write a book about you.
Don't bother. I can't read.
What now?
Don't drop that case, Sheriff. It's loaded. Goodbye, Maggie. And Maggie, don't worry about Lorraine. She just stepped out of the country for a minute.
Sherry, was that...
It was indeed. Bert is all yours, and you have my blessing.
Oh, Sherry. Banjo, you're wonderful.
Maggie, get me my hat and coat. I'm leaving.
Come on, Whiteside. I'll drop you at the airport.
Oh, you're leaving, but Sherry, you're here. Where are you going?
Arthur Murray's for a rumba lesson. Don't argue. Do as you're told.
Yes, sir, Mr. Whiteside. I'll get to...
Come on, Whiteside. Hurry up. Before I go to Nova Scotia, I want to stop off at Lindy's for some rye bread.
All right, Banjo, all right.
Mr. Whiteside, you're walking.
Yep, I'm back in shape again, Bert. There's been a slight change of plan. I'm taking your play to Kathleen Cornell. Maggie will explain everything.
Oh, hello, Bert.
Hi, Maggie. Well, I don't have to go to New York. Can you stand it?
Oh, I think so.
Whiteside, drop a cage over these two lovebirds, will you? And come on, we can't keep the salmon waiting.
Mr. Whiteside, are you very busy?
Yes, Dr. Bradley, very. But if you ever come to New York, try and find me. Goodbye, Maggie, my lamb. I love you very much.
Sherry, you're wonderful.
Don't tell him he knows it.
Goodbye, Jefferson. You'll never know the trouble you've caused.
Goodbye. I'll walk you to the door.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Sarah.
Goodbye, Mr. Whiteside.
Look out for the milk bottle.
Oh! What was that?
Maggie, get the wheelchair. Call the nurse. Where's the doctor?
Oh, Mr. Whiteside. He slipped on the milk bottle, set her down again. Mr. Jefferson is coming.
Miss Preen! I want Miss Preen back. Mr. Stanley, I am suing you for $300,000.
Changing in this are Jack Benny as Fred and Whiteside, Charles Boyer as Marcel Duval, Gene Kelly as Banjo, Dorothy McGuire as Maggie, Gregory Peck as Bert Jefferson, and Rosalind Russell as Lorraine Sheldon. Also heard in the cast were Edith Angold, Eleanor Audley, Bea Benaderet, Lois Corbett, Willard Waterman, and Roland Winters. Music was composed, arranged, and conducted by Lee Harleen. Our play was adapted for radio by Hugh Wedlock Jr. and Howard Snyder, and was produced and directed by Mel Ferrer. This is John Garfield on behalf of the Actors Company. Thanks for listening, and Merry Christmas.
And now, our Miss Brooks. It's time once again for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks, written by Al Lewis. Well, most of us spent Christmas Eve with our families and friends. But our Miss Brooks, who teaches English at Madison High School, wasn't quite so fortunate.
No, my family was too far away to visit, and it seems my friends had other plans. But I made up my mind not to brood about it, and was trimming a rather tiny tree in our living room when my landlady, Mrs. Davis, joined me.
What a nice tree, Connie.
It isn't really, Mrs. Davis, but it's the only one I could afford.
Oh, what did you pay for it?
I found it in a vacant lot. What I like about it is the size. It's not too big or too small. It's just too small.
I'd like to stay here and celebrate Christmas Eve with you, Connie, but I promised my sister Angela I'd come over to her place. You remember Angela, the absent-minded one?
Oh, certainly, Mrs. Davis.
She always got a big thrill out of the holidays, even when we were girls. Of course, the poor dear could never remember when it was actually Christmas, and one Christmas morning, she did the funniest thing.
What's that, Mrs. Davis?
What's what, dear?
What did Angela do?
Angela?
Your sister.
My sister?
The absent-minded one. What did she do?
I haven't spoken to Angela in some time. What has she been up to?
That's what I'd like to know. Maybe I can refresh your memory. Christmas morning, Angela did the funniest thing.
Christmas morning isn't until tomorrow, Connie. You must be confused.
Well, don't worry about it. I only get these spells once in a while.
Well, you shouldn't let it go, Connie. If you don't mind my offering a little advice, I'd like to suggest that you train your mind to concentrate more.
I'll do it, Mrs. Davis.
Now, I've developed a little scheme which works wonders for me. Supposing you have trouble remembering where you put things around the house. Well, you just keep repeating the location to yourself with a sort of rhythm. For example, I just chant to myself, the mustard's in the closet, the bread is in the box. The mustard's in the closet, the bread is in the box. The mustard's in the closet, the bread is in the box. Now, isn't that simple?
Oh.
Mustard's in the closet, bread.
That's wonderful, Mrs. Davis. If anybody wants a mustard sandwich, you're really ready.
Yes. Now, before I do anything else, I want to invite you to join me tonight.
Join you?
Yes, dear. I'm going over to
Angela's house.
That's right. She's so cute with that little absent mind of hers. Why, sometimes she forgets what she's talking about right in the middle of a sentence. And, oh, dear me, I hope that cat's got enough milk.
Well, I'm sure if we, but then, maybe someday, or if it doesn't seem too, and that's why I can't join you tonight. Thanks anyway, Mrs. Davis. I'll just spend a quiet evening at home here.
But how about Mr. Boynton? Don't tell me he was too shy to ask you for a date on Christmas Eve.
Why do you think there's mistletoe on all four walls? No, Mr. Boynton asked me all right, but then he canceled yesterday. Said he's going upstate to visit his folks for a couple of days. But don't worry about me, Mrs. Davis. I'll have a gay time. I'll listen to the radio, read, and from this window I can see our neighbor's television antenna.
But what about the little gifts you got for Walter Denton and Mr. and Mrs. Conklin and Harriet? When are you going to deliver them?
Oh, they told me not to bother. They said we'd exchange on the 26th.
The 26th? But I don't think the day after Christmas is the time to exchange gifts.
You don't? You should see the department stores. What's that, Mrs. Davis?
It's Minerva. Where are you, dear?
Oh, she's over by the tree. Here, Rover. Minerva.
Isn't it the strangest thing how she bites at the pine needles? I guess the rosin in them appeals to her. I'd swear she likes the taste of it.
I guess to her it's like a Tom and Jerry, or rather a Minnie and Mickey. Come on, Minerva, come on over here. We might as well get friendly. We're going to spend the evening together.
Well, I'll be running along now, dear. I hope you won't feel too lonely.
Oh, I'll be fine, Mrs. Davis. After all, I do have an imagination. I'll hang my stocking up in a little while, and then when I'm pretending that I'm asleep, I'll sneak in and fill it. Oh, before you know it, it'll be midnight.
Midnight of Christmas Eve.
I can just picture it. A short, thin man in a black suit comes sliding down the chimney with an empty bag. St. Penniless, the schoolteacher Santa Claus.
Well, at least you're not bitter. Now, Connie, about my sister,
Angela?
Oh, thank you, dear. About my sister Angela.
Yes?
Good night, Dorothy.
Good night, Bernice. Oh, stop drinking those pine needles, Minerva. Come on over here. There's a good kitty. Now I'll just settle down in Mrs. Davis's rocker, and we'll have ourselves a nice, quiet rock. I've got to exercise more. My bones are rusting. Oh, it's the rocker. Kind of soothing at that. You seem contented enough, Minerva. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. Oops, sorry, Minerva. I didn't mean to upset you, Minerva. Oh, gosh, I'm sleepy. Now, who can that be? Expecting anyone, Minerva? That's funny. There's nobody here.
I'm here.
Where? Oh, leaning on my knee. What can I do?
Well, I'm a salesman, but I don't believe in giving any sales talk or sob stories. All I do is tell you what I'm selling. And if you want to buy, okay. If not, okay.
Okay, what are you selling?
Well, it's Christmas Eve, and I'm just a small urchin, a little on the underprivileged side. And I'm trying to make a few dollars to get some wood to heat our tiny apartment so that while she's singing to my 3 sick sisters, my mother's lips don't turn blue.
That's what I like, no sob stories. If you're selling handkerchiefs, I'll take 6.
So no, ma'am, I'm selling Christmas trees. They're only $1 a piece.
But I've already got a Christmas tree.
Then I'll make it 50 cents.
But I don't need
How about a quarter?
Look, little boy.
Well, payments can be arranged. Oh, please take one, ma'am. These aren't ordinary trees, you know. They're magic.
Magic?
Yes, ma'am. You'd be surprised what miracles will happen to you if you buy one.
Well, a quarter isn't too much to pay for a miracle.
It's 50 cents.
I thought you said 25.
That's when you sounded tougher to sell.
Oh. Well, before I melt down to my coal buttons and the stovepipe hat, here's 50 cents.
You won't be sorry, ma'am. Here's the little tree.
Say, it is kind of cute at that. Would you like to come in and help me set it up?
I can't. I've got to get right home. My sitter's been alone long enough.
Sitter? Well, what about your mother and the firewood?
Well, that's just a routine. My folks are attending a dinner the other bank presidents have given for Father.
With the pitch you've got, you'll have your own bank by the time you're 12.
Thanks a lot. Good night, lady, and Merry Christmas.
Same to you, you little underprivileged millionaire. I'll put this tree over here. Maybe we can find some extra trimmings for it in the morning. Minerva, will you stop gnawing on those pine needles? I wish I knew what made them so appetizing to her. Oh, fine. Now you come over here and let those things alone. There we are. Well, I guess I'm not the only one that's spending Christmas Eve alone, without family or friends. But who can tell? Maybe Santa Claus has something up his big red sleeve that I don't even know about yet. Of course, I do have a squeaky rocker and Minerva. Jingle bells, and merry stuff like that. Oh, what fun it is to rock with a big, fat, drunken cat. As I sat in the living room Christmas Eve with Minerva the cat on my lap, I couldn't help noticing that the tree which I'd bought from that wealthy urchin had a rather peculiar luminosity. Although there wasn't any artificial illumination, it seemed to glow from deep down in its branches. As I rocked back and forth, I started to get very drowsy. Little boy said this tree was magic, Minerva. No, I don't believe it either. Still, it is Christmas Eve, and some very strange things have happened on Christmas Eve. What's that? Oh, I must have been dozing. Coming! Well, it's Walter Denton. Come in, Walter.
Noel, joyeux Noel.
Gracias. Come on into the living room, Walter.
Oh, thanks, Miss Brooks. Here, I brought you this little gift to put under your tree.
Oh, that was very thoughtful, Walter. Put it under this tree over here.
Okay. Say, you've got two trees, haven't you?
Yes, one for Minerva and one for me.
What?
Don't pay any attention to her. She's pine needle happy.
Well, Miss Brooks, as you know, I was supposed to spend the evening nestled snugly in the tight little confines of my own small immediate family circle.
Oh, for heaven's sakes, come out of there. You're giving me claustrophobia.
But I went to my father and mother and crowed their permission to come over.
Wait a minute, Walter. You crove their permission to?
Yeah. Crave, craven, crove, isn't it?
Oh, Walter, of course not. Crave. Let's see. Crave, craven. After you crove their permission, what happened?
Well, they waived my presence for a long enough while for me to deliver to you, Miss Brooks, the little token of my esteem and affection, which is now ensconcing under the tree.
Walter, are you still in my English class?
Well, sure, Miss Brooks.
Well, I'd better bone up a little. One of us is going to flunk this term.
Well, it isn't just the gift, Miss Brooks. That's not the only thing that brought me wayfaring from the warmth and conviviality of my own heart.
Oh, please don't start that again. I'm glad you dropped over, Walter. And if you want to spend the rest of the evening with your folks,
Oh,
why
there's
you
no
go...
rush with them. They've got my present under our tree already. Now, what I'd like to say, Miss Brooks, though, is something I've wanted to say for a long while.
Yes, Walter?
Now, it's a little on the sentimental side, perhaps, for a so-called hep high school boy to be telling a teacher, but it's sincere, Miss Brooks.
I'm sure it is.
It's something I feel deep down inside of me, Miss Brooks, from whence so many of one's warmer emotions stem.
That's whence they stem from, all right.
Of course, even if it does seem over-sentimental or even downright sticky, Christmas Eve seems to be the time that you can say things like this and not sound over-sentimental or sticky.
Christmas Eve is the time to say them. I just hope I hear them by New Year's Eve.
What I want you to know, Miss Brooks, is that I'm grateful.
For what, Walter?
For my association with you during the past semester at Madison High School.
Well, thank you, Walter. I've tried to be a capable teacher.
Oh, your teaching was nothing.
What?
Oh, I don't mean scholastically. No, as a teacher, you were very adequate. I mean personally. The interest you took in me and my problems. For that, I could never thank you if I lived to be 100. Of course, you'd be gone a long time by then.
Merry Christmas to you, too.
You don't know what it's meant to me to have your ear whenever I needed it.
Oh, it was nothing, really. I have another one.
Especially about girls. Gosh, you remember how silly I used to act about girls? Every time one of them looked at me, I giggled like a kid. And then, overnight, I matured. I met the one woman who really mattered. Harriet Conklin.
She certainly made something out of you, Walter. I don't know what, but something.
You saw me through the difficult transition period of that amour as well, while Harriet and I were adjusting to one another. It was wonderful to be able to come down to you for advice, Miss Brooks. It isn't every boy who has such an interest taken in him by some intelligent, elderly person.
Give me back my ear. I can't hear you.
Not that you're ancient or anything. Gosh, I've seen girls who don't look as good as you do.
Girls? What do you think I am? Shut up, Minerva.
By the way, Miss Brooks, I see you got lots of mistletoe on the walls. Were you expecting Mr. Boynton tonight?
Yes, Walter, I was. We were going for a wheelchair ride together. He had to visit his folks upstate.
His folks? Gosh, they must be well along in years.
His father's over 50. They may shoot him next spring. Look, Walter, while you're here, you might as well pick up the little gift I got for you.
Oh, but Miss Brooks, you shouldn't have. Where is it?
Under the tree on your right. It isn't much, just a remembrance.
Oh, gee, I almost forgot. I can't open it yet.
Why not? Oh, you mean you want to put it under your tree at home and open it with your family?
Oh, not exactly, but... Well, I'll get it later, Miss Brooks. Oh, there they are now. I'll answer it.
There who are now?
Come on in, folks. She was all alone when I got here.
But it's really a surprise, isn't it?
We should have stayed home Christmas Eve. Besides, it's freezing out.
Now, Osgood, don't be so grouchy. Hello, Miss Brooks. Merry Christmas.
Why, it's Mr. and Mrs. Conklin. And Harriet, how are you all?
I'm cold.
Oh, that's too bad. Come here, Minerva. Rub up against Mr. Conklin.
What's that? What? Go away, cat.
Why, she seems to like you, Osgood. Or is she hungry, Miss Brooks?
She's not that hungry.
I don't like cats. Why doesn't she go chase a mouse or something?
You forget, Mr. Conklin, this is Christmas Eve. There isn't one stirring.
Say, Harriet.
Yes, Walter?
There's a lot of mistletoe around this room.
I know. It's real pretty. Osgood, notice all the mistletoe in this room?
What? Oh, that green stuff. More often than not, it makes me sneeze.
Oh, come on, Osgood. Let's see if it does.
Oh, now, Martha, don't embarrass me so.
It doesn't make you sneeze, does it, Harriet?
I'm willing to find out. Here's a nice wreath of it on this wall.
Yeah. Well, here we are. Mrs. Conklin?
If it's all right with Harriet, it's all right with us.
Oh, come on, Walter. We're getting old.
Gosh, you're sweet, Harriet.
Oh, isn't that cute, Osgood? Come here, dear. How about one for your faithful old wife?
Well, it is customary, I guess. I'm under the stuff.
Now, pucker up, dear.
Very well. Yeah. You see, I told you. Now, let's stop this romantic drivel and act like adult human beings. Miss Brooks, I'd like to take advantage of this visit to inquire as to your plans for the coming year's classwork. Do you have your schedule all laid out?
Well, frankly, Mr. Conklin, I haven't had much chance to work on anything.
Haven't had much of a chance, but you've been away from school all week. Your vacation started last Monday.
I know, Mr. Conklin, and that's what I took the week as. I mean, a vacation is something you go on when you get the opportunity to. You don't work on it or during it, unless, even though I didn't actually go anywhere, when my vacation came along, I went on it or was on one, usually.
And you wanted to be the head of the English department.
Please, Osgood, this is no time to talk of school affairs. We're here to spend part of our holiday with Miss Brooks.
It was very nice of you to think about me, Mrs. Conklin. It was nice of all of you. Where are Walter and Harriet?
Denton, get my daughter away from that mistletoe at once.
But, Mr. Conklin, Harriet isn't allergic to mistletoe.
No, but I'm allergic to you.
Harriet's almost irresistible sometimes, especially alongside of older women like Mrs. Conklin and Miss Brooks.
Saved by the bell. I'll get it. Why, Mr. Boynton, come in.
Oh, thanks, Miss Brooks.
I thought you were going upstate to see your folks.
Well, I was, but they sent me a wire that they wanted to come down here for a week or so. They'll arrive in the morning, so I thought I'd drop this little gift off for you tonight.
Oh, but you shouldn't have. Where is it? Let's just put it under the tree in the living room. Look who's here, everybody.
Well, it's Mr. Boynton.
Hi there, Mr. B.
This is nice.
Hello, Boynton.
Hello, folks.
This is beginning to get more like Christmas Eve every minute. Sit down, Mr. Boynton. I'm certainly glad your folks decided to visit you instead of vice versa.
Oh, so am I. There's a particularly good reason why I'm glad.
There is?
Well, yes. It gives me a chance to see how my guinea pigs are affected by this cold snap. So far, they haven't reacted at all.
What do you expect them to do, blow on their paws?
Miss Brooks, have you pointed out the mistletoe to Mr. Boynton?
Oh, why don't you stop that nonsense, Martha?
It isn't nonsense. Mr. Boynton, look at the mistletoe.
Mistletoe? Oh, yes. A very interesting example of the flora found in various areas throughout the globe. An evergreen parasitic shrub, it is indigenous to the regions where apple trees and oaks abound.
Now that the lecture is over, may we ask questions?
Well, certainly, Miss Brooks.
Want to stand under it?
Stand under it? Well, you see, because of certain characteristics in its makeup, an allergy is sometimes aggravated by its presence.
I'll take a chance if you will.
Come on, Mr. Boynton.
Yeah, come on, Mr. Boynton.
Just bring him over to this wall here.
I'll get under it if you like.
Well, don't just stand there. Can't you see Miss Brooks is cooking?
Well, don't fuss for me. I couldn't eat a thing.
Mr. Boynton, don't you know what standing under the mistletoe signifies?
I know what it signifies to most people, but to me it's just...
Well, there goes 85 cents worth of mistletoe.
Hey, I know what let's do. Let's open up the presents right now.
Swell. A splendid suggestion, Walter.
Shouldn't we wait until just before we leave? Might be less embarrassing that way.
Well, if you want to open them now,
Golly, this one tree is pretty crowded. I'll put some of these packages under this little one over here.
Look out, Walter. You're bumping into one of the branches. Look out.
Gosh, I got the funniest feeling when I touched that branch.
What kind of a feeling, Walter?
Well, you're Harriet Conklin, aren't you?
Well, sure, I'm Harriet Conklin. Walter, what's the matter with you?
Nothing. Nothing's the matter with me. It's just that I want to tell you something. Harriet, you've got to change. You ought to try to be more like Miss Brooks.
What do you mean, Walter?
If you want me to stay interested in you, you've got to be more alluring, youthful, glamorous, feminine in that real feline Brooks way.
Walter, have you been drinking pine needles, too?
Look at that tree. It seems to be glowing.
What do you mean, glowing? Just a reflection from the streetlights. This party is giving me the memes. Holidays, indeed. Here, I'll just move the tree where it won't glisten in our eyes. There we go. Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
I'm Mr. Conklin.
Of course I'm Mr. Conklin. Happy-go-lucky, fun-loving, gag-a-minute Osgood.
Gag-a-minute Osgood?
Sometimes I've wanted to.
Miss Brooks, is that really you standing there?
I think so, Mr. Conklin. Why do you ask?
Because you suddenly look so different, so intelligent. Miss Brooks, I've made up my mind. You are now head of the Madison High English Department.
Well, thank you, fun-loving Osgood.
I'm going to put this wonderful tree where it belongs, right in the center of the room. Give me a hand, Boynton.
Oh, yes, sir, Mr. Conklin. I'll just take this hand here and... Miss Brooks.
Yes, Mr. Boynton?
Come here, baby.
What?
I said, come here, Connie.
You did not. You said, come here, baby, and I'm here.
Look, he's taking her over to the mistletoe.
Isn't it wonderful?
Well, what are you going to do, Mr. Boynton?
Just call me Phil, Connie. And this is what I'm going to do. Connie, how does that make you feel?
Oh, I feel like I'm in a dream, Philip. A wonderful, beautiful dream. Well, what's that? Mr. Boynton, where did you go? Where is everybody? Oh, I must have been dreaming. Well, that's real enough. I'll be right there. Oh, sorry, Minerva. I didn't mean to drop you.
I'm cold.
Why, it's the Conklins and Walter and Mr. Boynton. But you all just left. Come in.
We thought it would be nice if we spent our Christmas Eve together, Miss Brooks.
Yes, and we've brought a few little gifts over for you.
I'll just put them under this tree here.
Yes, do that, Walter.
Aren't you going to ask me why I didn't go upstate, Miss Brooks?
I know why, Mr. Boynton. Your folks are coming down to see you.
Well, how did you know about that? I just got the telegram.
Don't let's get too carried away with the holidays to prepare for the hard school season ahead, Miss Brooks.
Oh, let's not talk about school affairs now, Osgood.
Walter, look at the mistletoe.
Yeah, look at it.
Now, just a minute, before we go through all that again. Would you please touch that tree, Mr. Boynton? The one on the left with the... Why, it's gone. There's only one tree.
Miss Brooks, are you all right?
Of course I'm all right. Could I have dreamt that part, too? Mr. Boynton, would you do me a favor, please?
Of course, Miss Brooks. What is it?
Would you touch the Christmas tree?
Touch it?
Please, it's important.
Well, all right. There.
Nothing happened.
What did you expect would happen?
A miracle. Oh, excuse me, I'll be right back.
Oh, I'm a
little urchin, and I'm selling magic Christmas trees.
But you just...
Please buy one, lady. They only cost 50 cents apiece.
50 cents?
That's right.
Here's $2. Give me 4 of them.
Once again, here is Eve Arden.
All over the studio here, there are happy signs of Christmas. Bits of red and green, holly, and some imaginative person even hung some mistletoe in the control room. Must remember to drop in there after the show. But the Christmas spirit is even more evident in the faces of our cast. Together with our sponsor, the Colgate Palmolive Peat Company, makers of Colgate Dental Cream, Luster Cream Shampoo, and Palmolive Shaving Creams, we join in wishing you a Merry Christmas. Yes, Jeff Chandler and Gail Gordon, Jane Morgan, Virginia Gordon, Dick Crenna, Gloria McMillan, Jeffrey Silver, our writer-director Al Lewis, and our producer Larry Burns, our conductor Wilbur Hatch, and all the others on the Our Miss Brooks show. And we're gathered here to say, may this be the most joyous of the holidays for all of you.
For mystery liberally sprinkled with laughs, listen to Mr. and Mrs. North, the exciting, fun-packed adventures of an amateur detective and his beautiful wife. Tune in Tuesday evening over most of these same stations. And be with us again next week at this same time for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks. Bob Lamont speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The Jack Benny Program, presented by Lucky Strike. Friends, every Lucky you light gives you a smoother, milder, more enjoyable smoke. There's never a rough puff in a Lucky because LSMFT, Lucky Strike, means fine tobacco.
Yes, Lucky Strike means fine tobacco, ripe, light, naturally mild leaf that always gives you a more deeply enjoyable smoke, puff after puff, with never a rough puff. Now, fine tobacco like this costs more, and Lucky's pay more, millions of dollars more than official parity prices, to get fine tobacco that guarantees more real, deep-down smoking enjoyment for you.
Remember, too, the men who really know tobacco, the independent tobacco experts, choose Lucky Strike for their own personal smoking enjoyment. In fact, a recent survey reveals that more auctioneers, buyers, and warehousemen smoke Lucky Strike regularly than the next two leading brands combined.
So, friends, for your own real deep-down smoking enjoyment, smoke the smoke tobacco expert smoked Lucky Strike. Yes, light up a Lucky and enjoy a milder, smoother smoke with never a rough puff. You'll agree, in all the world, there's no finer cigarette than Lucky Strike. So round, so firm, so fully packed, so free and easy on the draw.
The Lucky Strike program, starring Jack Benny, with Barry Livingston, Phil Harris, Rochester, Dennis Day, and yours truly, Don Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, if you go out to Beverly Hills and look in the windows of Jack Benny's house, you will see a very pretty Christmas tree, a picture of peace and serenity. But if you could have been there yesterday, well, why not?
Well, we're almost through trimming the tree, Mary. Gee, it was nice of you to come over and help me.
Well, if I didn't, you'd never get it done. Say, Jack, shall I put the snow around the bottom now?
Not yet. I want to see if the lights are working. I'll hold up the bulbs. When I say ready, you plug it in.
Okay. Ready?
Ready. Pull it out! Pull it out! Pull it out! My goodness.
Oh, Jack, why'd you make me shut it off? Those lights were so pretty, especially those two blue ones that kept flashing on and off.
Those were my eyes. I must have been holding on to a bare wire.
Well, it's your own fault. Every time you fool around with electricity, something goes wrong.
It does not. I know plenty about electricity.
Oh, sure. Remember what happened yesterday when you fixed your doorbell?
What happened?
I pushed the button, roasted a pig in Encino.
Oh, stop exaggerating. Anyway, hand me that roll of tape. I'll fix this bare wire right now.
Here you are.
Thanks. Now, let's see. To insulate a bare wire, you just tape it up like this. There. That ought to be enough tape. All right, Mary, plug it in.
Okay.
Pull it out! Pull it out! Pull it
Jack, what happened?
I taped my finger to the wire. That's what happened.
Oh, gee, and that time was even prettier than before.
What do you mean?
Your nose lit up, too.
It did not. What are you laughing at?
Benny, the red-nosed reindeer.
All right. Now, let's get this tree finished before the gang gets here.
But, Jack, what about the light?
We'll have to let that go until later. Now, hand me one of those candy canes so I can...
Oh, Mr. Benny!
What is it, Rochester?
I baked that cake like you told me to.
Good. You have enough whipped cream to spell out Merry Christmas?
Yeah. Say, boss, how many R's in Mary?
2.
Uh-oh.
Well, you better add one.
Add one? I better cross one out. I got 3.
Well, leave it. It's better than ruining the cake.
Okay.
Rochester, will you please take these Christmas tree lights and fix them?
Fix them?
Yes.
I ain't fooling around with electricity.
What are you afraid of?
I don't want to get hit by nothing I can't hit back.
Oh, Rochester, imagine being afraid of electricity. Suppose Robert Fulton was afraid. He never would have invented the electric light, would he?
Jack.
What?
You're thinking of Thomas Edison.
Edison? Well, then what did Robert Fulton do?
He wrote Mule Train.
Oh, yes. Now, Rochester, please fix these lights.
Okay. Now, let me see. In electricity, there's the electrons and the electrodes. And then there's the positive and the negative. But I ain't positive which one is negative. Then there's the atoms. Now, the atoms are supposed to go from the positive to the negative. Or maybe they go from the electrons to the electrodes. Then again, maybe they go from Amos to Andy.
Rochester.
Now, as long as these atoms keep passing each other, everything is all right. But when they meet halfway and start fighting, they're going to turn on anybody who tries to butt in.
Rochester, I'm not interested in the scientific details. I just want you to fix those lights. And I promise you, while you're holding the wires, no one in this room will turn on the switch.
No, boss. While I'm holding the wire, you ain't going to turn on the switch. And Miss Livingston ain't going to turn on the switch.
Of course not.
But way up there at Boulder Dam, there's a little man sitting in a room with thousands of wires all around him.
So what?
How do I know he ain't going to do something just to break the monotony?
Oh, all right. I'll fix it myself. Come on, Mary. Help me finish the tree.
Okay, Jack. Hand me that candy cane, will you?
Here you are.
Da-da-dum-dum, dee-da-da-dum. I'll put the cane right next to the drum. Santa Claus is coming to town.
Let's see, where's that star? Deedle-dee-dum, deedle-dum-dee. I'll put the star on top of the tree. Santa Claus is coming to town. Gee, that looks swell.
He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're away.
He knows when you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake.
So you better watch out. You better not cry.
Mary, you're cute, and so am I.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
Well, Mary, we got all the packages under the tree. It looks nice, doesn't it?
Yeah, but you better pick those lights up off the floor before somebody steps on them.
Oh, yes. Now, where can I put them? I'll put them here on this chair. Now, Mary, some of the gifts I had sent direct from the store, but there's Phil Harris's present. Put it under the tree. Boy, will he be surprised.
But, Jack, how'll he be surprised? You got toilet water written all over the box.
Well, you gotta do that with Phil. When he opens the package and finds a bottle, he never stops to read the label. Last year, I gave him a miniature ship and a bottle, and the mast stuck out of his mouth for 3 days. Every time I asked him something, he had to answer me through the crow's nest. Believe me, I know what I'm doing.
Well, Jack, I guess that does it. The tree's all finished.
Yeah. Gee, it looks well. I'm kind of tired. I think I'll sit down for a minute and smoke a Lucky. Mary, have you got a match?
No.
Oh, say, boss.
What is it, Rochester?
Are your socks dry yet?
I think so.
Well, people will be here soon. You better take them off the tree.
Oh, that's right. You take them off, will you, Rochester? I'm tired. I want to sit here a while.
Yes, sir. Say, this tree looks awful nice, but it's kind of dark. Oh, no wonder the lights aren't plugged in. I'll fix that.
Pull it out! Pull it out! Pull it out! For heaven's sake.
Well, what happened this time?
I'm sitting on the wire. Now, as long as you're here, Rochester, give me a match.
You don't need it now. Your cigarette is lit.
Oh, yes. Thanks, Rochester.
Don't thank me. Thank that little man up at Boulder Dam.
Never mind. Don't plug that in anymore. I've had enough trouble with it. Come in. Oh, hello, Phil.
Hiya, Jackson. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Well, deck the halls with turnip greens if that ain't a lovely Christmas tree.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Jackson, you ought to see the one I've got. It's all decorated with a lot of ornaments, and I got tinsel on it and everything. And then right up on the top, I got a picture of Alice.
Alice? Phil, you're supposed to have a picture of Santa Claus.
She's Santa Claus to me, Dad.
I know.
Hey, but no kidding, Jackson. I think we got the prettiest tree in Encino.
By the way, Phil, what are you having for Christmas dinner?
A roast pig.
What?
I don't know how it happened, but when I went out to feed it this morning, it was cooked standing up.
You see, Jack? I told you.
I thought you were kidding.
So did I.
Isn't that strange?
What are you two mumbling about?
Nothing. Hey, Phil, what do you got in that package there?
Oh, I almost forgot, Jackson. It's a present for you.
For me?
Yeah. Me and the boys in the band all chipped in and got it for you.
Well, thanks, Phil. I'll put it under the tree.
No, you don't. Go ahead, open it up now.
Okay. Gee, it's certainly nice of you and the boys. Oh, Phil, thanks. See, a beautiful turtleneck sweater. Oh, gee.
Look inside of it, Jackson.
Inside? Oh, Phil.
What is it, Jack?
A turtle. A fine present to give me. I'll fix him. Come here, Phil. Phil, sit down on this chair and relax.
Huh?
Go ahead, Phil. Sit down.
Thanks, Jackson.
Are you comfortable, Phil?
Sure.
Good. Mary, push in the plug.
Oh, Jack. You wouldn't dare.
Hand me the plug. I'll give it to him myself.
Hey, Jackson, what about my present?
Just sit where you are. You'll get it. It's a surprise. Mary, watch it go. 1, 2, 3. Phil, don't you feel anything?
No, why? Well, what about the surprise? What's the matter?
We're having a little trouble at Boulder Dam.
Mary, I can't understand what went wrong. Phil, stand up a minute.
Okay.
Now, let's see. Must be something wrong with this thing.
Pull it out! Pull it out! Pull it out!
A fine thing to do on a guy on Christmas Eve.
Well, it's your own fault for trying to play a trick on Phil.
Oh, so that's it, eh, Jackson? Trying to give me a high hot foot.
Oh, Phil, I was just trying...
Pull it out! Pull it!
Jack, that's the doorbell.
Uh-oh. Come in. Oh, hello, Don.
Well, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Hey, Merry Christmas, Don.
Yeah, come on in, fellas.
Oh, you brought the sportsman with you. Merry Christmas, boys. Yeah, I'm sure glad you dropped in.
Say, Don, did you get many nice presents this year?
I sure did, Mary. And I couldn't wait. I've opened them already.
You have? What'd you get, Don?
Well, I got some gold cufflinks, a moving picture camera, a television set, a golf ball, and a diamond wristwatch.
Well.
Thanks for the golf ball, Jack.
You're welcome, Don. You do play golf, don't you?
No.
Oh. Well, you really ought to take it up, Don. It's great exercise for a fellow like you. And there's some beautiful courses around here.
That's fine. You give a guy one golf ball, and right away you want him to join a country club.
Well?
Why don't you give him a flea and tell him to go out and buy a dog?
Buy a dog. Now, look, Mary.
Well, Jack, the boys and I have to be running along.
Well, Don, can't you stay a little longer?
We'd like to, Jack, but the sportsmen have to rush over to the Ambassador Hotel. You know, they're appearing at the Coconut Grove.
Oh, yes.
Say, Jack, why don't we go over there one night this week?
Oh, we will, Mary, we will.
Jack, you should have been there last night. The boys did a novelty number for the holiday season. It was really wonderful. They called it Yule Train.
Oh, you mean Mule Train?
No, Jack. Yule Train.
Oh, Yule Train. Say, that's clever. How does it go, Don?
Well, come on, boys. Let's have it.
Santa Claus is riding high. You'll pray. Hi, daughter. Hi, Blitzen. Hi, boy. Hi. Clippity-clopping through the snow and rain. Santa's reindeer never stop. Clippity-clop, clippity-clop, clippity-clippity, clippity-clippity, clippity-clopping along. What a busy, busy day you'll have that jolly old Kris Kringle. We hope that every one of you will hear his sleigh bells jingle. And underneath your tree find some LSMFT. We mean Lucky Strike. Everybody wants a carton full of Lucky Strike because they're round and firm and fully packed like good old Santa Claus. You're happy when you puff on a Lucky, sure enough. Get along, Yule Train, get along. Hi, daughters, get up there, Blitzen. Hi, Prancer. Hi, Dancer. Hi, boy. Sleigh rider in the sky. Yippee-yi-yay, yippee-yi-yay. Santa Claus is riding high. Get along, Yule Train, get along.
Don, that was wonderful. We'll be over at the Grove the first chance we get, won't we, Mary?
We sure will.
Well, that's swell. So long now, kids. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Don.
Well, Mary, you're going to stay and have dinner with me, aren't you?
Yes, you invited me.
Good. Then after dinner, we'll open all the presents.
I'll answer the phone, boss.
Never mind, Rochester. I'll get it. It's right here. Hello?
Now, look, Joe, I haven't got much time, so listen to me. I'm phoning to warn you that my husband's wise to us, and he's on his way over to your house with a gun. So get out of town, Joe. Get out quick. Remember what happened to Charlie.
Jack, what's the matter?
I don't know. Somebody keeps getting my number by mistake. It's the second time it happened. First it was Charlie, now she thinks I'm Joe.
Joe who?
I don't know. We'll probably read it in the paper tomorrow. Oh, Rochester, how soon will dinner be ready?
In about 10 minutes, boss.
Oh, good.
Say, Jack, it's a little chilly in here. Don't you think so?
Yeah, maybe I ought to put another log on the fire. There we are. Gee, this log is heavy. Oh, Rochester! Never mind. Thanks, Mary. Now, let's sit down and wait until we can... All right, you can stop showing off. Now, let's sit down. Yum-bum-bum, yum-bum-bum, yum-bum-bum. You know, Mary, sitting here in front of the fireplace, you look like the prettiest girl in the whole world. If I were a painter, I'd take the reflection of the fires dancing in your hair and paint the loveliest... There's somebody at the door.
Well, answer, Grandma Moses. You can paint my hair later.
Yeah. Coming. Yes?
Good evening, sir. I'm selling Christmas cookies to raise funds for the Girl Scouts.
Christmas cookies? Well, you see,
Oh, you're Jack Benny, aren't you?
Yes?
Well, it would be silly of you to buy any. You bake them for us.
That's right. How did you know I baked those cookies?
All the gingerbread men have blue eyes.
Well, I'll buy some anyway. I'll take a dozen. How much are they?
25 cents.
You mean you only make a penny profit? A penny on 12 cookies?
If we break any, we're dead.
Well, just be careful. By the way, what's your name, young lady?
Joan.
Oh, that's a nice name. Well, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Mary, I just bought some cookies. I'll put them on the tree here.
Who'd you buy them from?
A girl who came to the door. Her name is Joan. Cute, too. You'd think her father would dress her a little better. Do you have a cookie, Mary?
No, it'll spoil my dinner. Oh, that reminds me. As long as I'm staying here, I better call my maid and tell her I won't be home.
Okay.
Hello? Hello, Pauline. This is Miss Livingston. Well, I won't be home for dinner, so I thought you'd like to know you could have... Pauline, are you still crying? Pauline, you got to get a grip on yourself. You've been carrying on like this all week. Now, look. He's married, on his way to Honolulu, and there's nothing you can do about it. Goodbye.
What's wrong, Mary?
Oh, that maid of mine. Just because Clark Gable got married, she's been crying for 5 days.
5 days? Hey, that's ridiculous.
Certainly, I got over it in 2.
Everybody makes such a fuss about Gable. Mary, let me ask you something. What's Clark Gable got that I... No. No, I'd be a fool to throw you a lead like that.
You sure would.
Hello, Mary. Hello, Mr. Benny. Merry Christmas.
Oh, Dennis. I didn't see you. When did you get here?
I came in with Phil.
With Phil? That was quite a while ago. Where have you been?
Well, I sneaked upstairs and put your Christmas present under your pillow.
Oh. Well, what took you so long?
I fell asleep.
Oh.
Say, Mr. Benny, I'd like to thank you for the present you sent me, but I'm all confused.
Confused? Why?
All the packages got mixed up and the tags fell off, and I don't know who sent me what.
Oh, all the cards fell off?
Yeah.
Well, look, kid, did you get a wristwatch?
Oh, a beautiful one, solid gold.
Well, take my card and put it on that. Now, let's...
Wait a minute.
Huh?
Dennis, I'll tell you what Jack gave you. What else did you get?
A portable radio, a cigarette lighter, a candid camera, a silk bathrobe, a golf ball.
Bingo.
Mary.
Dennis, Jack gave you that golf ball.
Oh! I thought it was kind of funny about Mr. Benny giving me the wristwatch.
Why?
On the back is engraved to Dennis from Mother and Dad.
Look, Dennis, on Christmas, it isn't what you get that counts. It's the spirit in which it was given.
Every year he says the same thing.
Certainly I say it because it's true. More people felt that way than...
Mr. Benny, dinner's ready.
Where are you? Oh, on Christmas Day. Good. Come on, Mary. We'll go to dinner.
Dennis, do you want to have dinner with us?
Oh, yeah, that'd be swell. And after dinner, we can all sit around the fire and...
Dennis, come here a minute.
Yes, sir?
Over here. Now, look, kid. There's an old saying. 2 is company and 3 is a crowd. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but how can we get rid of Mary?
You
Nearly loused that one up. Well, all right, Rochester. There'll be the three of us for dinner. Come on, kids. Gee, I'm hungry.
Oh, so am I.
I hope Rochester has those big raw carrots. I love them.
I like the small carrot.
I like the big ones. We always argue about that every time. Now, Mary, you sit here. And Dennis, you sit over there. There we are. Now, Rochester, you can get the... Dennis, what happened?
I rolled off the chair. I had the golf ball in my back pocket.
No. Rochester, we're waiting.
Coming, boss, coming!
Well, Rochester's been a very nice Christmas Eve. The gang dropped in, we had a quiet dinner, and now they've gone home. Believe me, I'm ready for bed.
Yes, sir. Wait a minute, boss. I'll fluff up your pillow for you.
What's the matter, Rochester?
There's a package under here.
Oh, yes, it's from Dennis. It's my Christmas present.
Well, open it. Open it.
Okay. Oh, well, this is lovely. A beautiful electric alarm clock. And instead of numbers around the face, it has 12 letters that spell out Jackson Benny.
Yeah. Sure is nice.
Well, I might as well start using it right now. Rochester, you set it to the right time, and I'll plug it in.
Okay. It's 11:30 now, so I'll set it to... Pull it out! Pull it out! Pull it out!
Oh, I'm sorry, Rochester. I didn't mean... Rochester. Rochester. Oh, my goodness. Rochester, speak to me. What are you laughing at?
The lights lit up on the Christmas tree.
Oh, good, good. Merry Christmas, Rochester.
Merry Christmas, boss.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Dennis Day will sing Schubert's Ave Maria.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The Adventures of Frank Race, starring Paul Dubov, with Tony Barrett as Mark Donovan. The war changed many things, the face of the earth and the people on it. Before the war, Frank Race worked as an attorney, but he traded his law books for the cloak and dagger of the OSS. And when it was over, his former life was over, too. Adventure had become his business. The Adventures of Frank Race. We join Frank Race for the adventure of the Gold Worshipper.
The Western and Orient Insurance Company has been in existence nearly 100 years. Formed in San Francisco to insure gold shipments, it has since underwritten everything from windjammers to coming-out parties. It writes unusual policies and deals with unusual people. So as I entered the home offices on Market Street, I was prepared for an unusual assignment, and I got it. From the lips of Gaylord Stewart, President and General Manager.
Know anything about Macau, Race?
It's no featherbed. One of the toughest spots in the Far East right now.
If you've been in Macau, you've no doubt heard of Armando Dutra.
Yes, one of the biggest gold brokers in Asia.
He asked me to send him the finest investigator I knew. So I called you.
Thanks for the confidence.
You'll find you can practically write your own ticket on the fee. But don't get the idea that I'm handing you something on a platter. Dutra's daughter has been abducted. She's his only child, and he'll do anything to get her back. But in that country, you have some idea as to what you're up against. Frankly, I think you'll be walking into one of the toughest assignments you've ever taken on.
Macau on the south coast of China. Blue skies and a benevolent sun. The last time I'd been there, I'd known nothing but rain. This was quite a change. And I found it hard to retain the feeling that I'd come to participate in violence. Here was a colony about which the poets had sung, and I was ready to believe the lyrics. Then, less than an hour after Mark Donovan and I had checked in at the Bella Vista Hotel, there came a knocking at our door.
Visitors already?
I'll get it, Mark. I'm all right, Mark.
You sure?
I've opened doors like that before.
Yeah. You twisted just in time on that one. Look at your coat, will you? Powder points.
It'll go on the expense account.
Look, what's a pitch on this? We only been in town a couple of hours.
Could have been a door-to-door salesman who didn't care for my expression.
No, wait a minute. I'm for real. Nobody knows us here.
Mark, when you move into a thing like this, you're usually pretty well tagged. And by all the wrong people. I went out into a city that had altered its mood. Once again, it had become the place I'd known before.
a harbor of danger, of Chinese junks and the gold trade. And I was there for a date with the highest priest of that trade, Armando Dutra. Seeing him for the first time made me think of chilled champagne. Strange sort of man. Insisted on showing me through his gold processing plants before we talked about anything else.
We buy gold from the rest of the world, Ace. The price of $35 an ounce. Then we sell it for $50 to the frightened men of China who seem to think that gold is their only security. It comes to us in the shape of these heavy bars. We then reduce it to these thin sticks you see here. There is an additional profit in that. Our buyers do not require as rich a gold as we import. Our business is legal and profitable. Naturally, there are thousands of the unscrupulous who try to prey upon those of us who receive its benefits. And now, some of them have found a way to take my daughter.
You heard nothing about her?
I received a demand for money. 5,000 American dollars. I paid it, but my daughter has not been returned.
Where was the money delivered?
To a dockside tavern kept by a Scotsman who once served with the British Army.
Was the tavern watched?
Oh, yes. I was instructed to hide the money in one of the rooms of the place. I was warned against any attempt at spying, but discreetly, from a distance, I had the building watched.
Any result?
We noticed a man who dropped in at the tavern several times. We noticed him because he was well dressed, because he carried one arm in a sling. Naturally, I could not afford to have him picked up.
Could I see a photograph of your daughter?
Unfortunately, no. She has not had her photograph taken for several years. I forbade it because I was afraid of just what has happened. Abduction. She has dark hair, blue eyes. Her mother was a Russian. Mm-hmm. She is quite beautiful. But I realize that this might describe 100 other women in our area.
I'm afraid so.
I think it only fair to tell you, Race. You will not be working alone in this. I have been able to call in Eric Decker, a European detective. Also Major Carstairs, Hong Kong police. Carstairs is here now. I shall have him come in.
Dutra rang a bell. A servant appeared for a few terse instructions, and a few minutes later I met Major Alan Carstairs.
I've heard of you, Race. Glad you're in on this affair. It looks a bit sticky.
Dutra's been telling about this fellow with the bandaged arm.
And from what I can gather, he might be an Englishman, a Frenchman, or any Caucasian. Going to be like looking for the proverbial needle.
Well, personally, I'd like to start in with that tavern. Does it have a name?
It's called the Scarab. And one word of advice, Race. When you go there, don't go alone.
The Scarab. And one look at it gave plenty of reasons for what Carstairs had said. It wasn't hard to spot the proprietor. He stood behind the bar beneath a blown-up picture of himself in kilty uniform.
Holy cow, what a layout. I would feel safer in a coffin. Listen, Race, look, if we start anything here, let's do it back to back. Huh?
Move around, see what you can find out. I'll talk to the owner.
All right.
What do you have, lad?
Scotch and soda.
Oh, a yank, eh? Well, that means I better make it a double. No?
A double, yes.
Yeah, you're a stranger around here.
Yes, I'm called Frank Race.
I'm Dalglish, which is too much for most of these people, so...
So they call you Scotty.
Hey.
That's a good likeness of you up there, the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders.
You knew where Tartan, eh?
I know where you were, too. Dunkirk, Alamein, Normandy.
Wait a minute. I'll have a drink with you. And yours is out in the house. It's good to meet a lad like you.
That goes double, Scotty. And may I say you have a sharp eye for strangers.
In this business, you need it.
Then possibly you remember a man you had in here a few days ago. A man with his arm in a sling.
It's possible that I do remember such a man. But intending no hurt to your feelings, having a quick eye for a stranger and being willing to gossip about him are two different things.
So they are, Scotty, so they are. I understand.
Good. Here, fling this down your hatch. And it's on the house, too.
He was friendly about it, and there was nothing to do but answer his grin with a shrug. But if one man won't talk, there are always others who will. As I finished the second drink, I felt a pull at my sleeve. The act of a little man standing next to me, an emaciated little man with a face like a dose of quinine.
I am Cheng. If you would know about this person you seek.
He waited for my nod, then led me to a table at the far end of the room.
This man with the broken arm. It is important that you find him.
Shall we say, quite important.
Important enough to be worth $100 American.
Provided I see my man.
You would perhaps be willing to tear the bills in two and give me half on the count?
That's agreeable. Here. All right. Now where do I find him?
In Little Yellow House at the foot of Royal Street. Come, I will show you.
He started to get up, but a hand on his shoulder jammed him down again. There were two of them standing over us, and Cheng had taken on the look of a hen that's just been thrown into a poultry scale.
You didn't think you'd get away with this, did you, Stooley?
Get away with what?
You know what happens to guys who squeal, don't you?
I don't know what you mean.
It's simple, pal. I just mean it.
Cheng twisted, a look of horror on his face as he stared at the knife that stuck from his chest. He toppled against me, saving my life because the other thug had lunged with the second blade.
Get this other guy through!
The blade that drove another gash into Cheng's dying body. I twisted under him, went beneath the table, clutched a pair of legs, and yanked! And I was in the middle of a seething mass. Blasters, Chinese, Europeans, it was everybody's fight. I twisted and punched my way toward the door. I got to within 10 feet of it with one eye shut and an arm numb.
Hey, Grace, what's that? Not gonna race. Hey, hit Perry and my buttons it's that way, but he'd have shot you, eh?
Hey, Scotty, you certainly would have.
Hey, here comes forearm race. Wait a minute, I'll take this one.
And this one is from me.
Come on, get out of here, the parent.
I'll be back to settle with you, Scotty. I'll be back. It wasn't hard to find the Little Yellow House at the foot of Royal Street. One of those high-stooped, semi-basement affairs. It looked more like something you'd find in New England than in an Asiatic seaport. Mark rang an old-fashioned pull bell several times, with no result. So we did a little breaking and entering, had a look around. It was neat, well-furnished, with evidence that a woman had been living there. We gave it up for the time being and went back to the Bella Vista Hotel. Mark went up to the room, and I headed for the bar. It was a long bar, but no bartender in sight. I was just about to call it off when a provocative voice brushed against my ear.
I understand that you are looking for a man who has a broken arm.
She smelled like a garden in the evening, looked like your favorite dream, and presented a gaze that said, make a pass at me and you'll draw nothing but a right cross. But for such a blonde, I'd take that kind of a punch any time. So I reached for the glass she was holding.
You may not like that. It's a Gibson.
I like it, because believe me, I need it.
Why, do you want to see the man with his arm in the sling?
I write for the newspapers. He's news.
Why is he news?
Seems to be wrapped up in a grand-scale kidnapping. I could use a scoop on it.
How could one be sure that you are a newspaper man?
Look, baby, even from one eye, you're a thoroughly beautiful wench, with the doggiest legs I've seen since an aerialist I glimpsed in Paris last month. But if I remember correctly, I did not seek you out.
Quite true. It was I who made the approach.
Then let's dispense with the police state attitude. You want something of me. What is it?
If I took you to that man for this scoop, would you be willing to help him?
In what way?
He's been hurt. He needs help. But help, that is, shall we say...
Of the proper kind?
Yes.
All right, let's go. In the cab, she identified herself as Afton Gage from New Orleans. It sounded sincere. I couldn't feel too sure it wasn't genuine. She wouldn't say anything else about herself, and we finally arrived at the Little Yellow House on Royal Street. I told the cabbie to wait, and we went up to the door. It's pretty dark. You sure we'll find him here?
It's a very old house. I'll have to light the incandescent mantle. There.
You know, even in this light, you're beautiful. Where now?
Down these stairs.
To the basement?
Hmm.
Baby, it's dark down there.
Would you like me to lead the way, Ray?
Touché. We go below.
Ray. Wait.
What is it?
I thought Look. The ceiling.
Don't see a thing. Don't see how you can either. Not but... Something's going around my neck from behind. A thong being twisted by her hands. I was being garroted. I tried to kick back, but her shins were too high. I was going unless... With a last effort, I threw myself forward.
We'll return to the adventures of Frank Race in just about 1 minute. And now back to the adventures of Frank Race.
I came out of it conscious of nothing but darkness and a shoulder that had gone on strike and was picketing the rest of me painfully. I fumbled for a match, found one, and managed to locate the gas jet. As I lit it, I heard the girl stir. She lay half on her side with her blonde head resting on some sort of carton. I got down on my knees beside her and had a good look. Her face hadn't been hurt. Her head seemed to be all right. Even in the gaslight, she looked gorgeous. Here was a female who had tried to murder me, and in the manner no one likes to be murdered. But with her face that close to me, I couldn't hold out. I bent over and pressed my lips to hers. Softly at first, then hard. Coming out of it, baby.
What happened to us?
Nothing much. You tried to throttle me. We pitched down the stairs. I must have been the buffer. You seem to be all in one piece.
I think I'm all right.
You want to try getting up?
Ray, you kissed me after what I did to you. Why?
You're very lovely.
Is that all it takes? Being lovely?
Who knows? Least of all the man who does it. But I'm no problem to myself. You're the question mark. After all, I was only trying to help you. So you make an effort to murder me.
Trying to help me?
I've been trying to find you to return you to your father.
I don't know what you mean.
Let's drop the act, baby. That hair of yours, it's lovely, but the tint isn't natural. I had a look just now. The roots are quite dark.
All right. So I am Stephanie Dutra. But I want to be let alone.
Which means there's a man in the picture.
Yes. There is a man. I'm in love with him. But with my father, such dreams are impossible.
So the two of you pulled this abduction hoax. Have you married him yet?
Not yet. There have been difficulties.
How old are you, Stephanie?
That's always a futile question, Ray. In her own mind, a woman is always too young or too old. Never of an age to reveal.
My guess would be about 19.
You're entitled to your judgment.
I'm going to have to take you home, baby.
I suppose so.
But first, with the arm that still worked, I drew her slowly to her feet, slipped the arm around her, and kissed her again. For a second, I got no reaction at all. And suddenly a pulse seemed to throb through her body. And for just an instant, I felt sure she returned the caress.
Say, what are you trying to prove?
Just a little therapy, honey. If it works, you might be a lot happier.
Come along. It is your intention to return me to my father. Let's get it over.
In the cab, we rolled through narrow streets, labored up winding ramps, the girl at my side sitting in bleak silence. I didn't feel too talkative myself. I'd broken the case, but for some reason there wasn't much gaiety in the thought.
Race?
Yes?
I do not think you are going to take me to my father after all.
No? And what? Oh, I see. We're being tailed.
And it looks as though this is about as far as we go.
They popped from that car like slices from a toastmaster. 4 of them, including the 2 knife wielders of the Scotsman's Tavern.
Move over, Don, while I plug that guy.
No. You will leave him alone. I insist on it.
Okay, but if he makes one phony move...
Race. Goodbye, Race.
So long, Stephanie. Lots of luck.
Thank you, Race.
I don't know whether you noticed it or not, chum, but I'm still here.
I noticed it.
The girl didn't. Now she's gone, I'm going to take care of you, right? Right between the...
Between the eyes. Never write off a man with a hand in his pocket, chum. But then you've had that coming for a long time, haven't you? It evens up for what you did to that Chinese. In the lobby of the Bella Vista Hotel, I ran into Major Alan Carstairs, and he shook my hand.
Well, Race, I trust you've had more luck on this case than I've encountered.
The luck I've had has been mostly bad. I found the girl, all right, then I lost her again. There's nothing simple about the affair. She doesn't want to go back to her father.
Oh, one of those things, eh? Well, that means we've really got our work cut out for us.
Race, I've been looking all over.
Hello, Mark.
Hello.
Sounds as though you've been hurrying.
Oh, you're not kidding. I got a load of info for you, brother. Something I'm...
Oh, I'm sorry, Mark. This is Major Carstairs, Mark Donovan.
How do you do?
Oh, hi, Major. Race.
It's all right, Mark. The Major is in on this with us.
Oh.
What's the information?
Well, give me a break. Something kind of peculiar.
Yes?
Look, I'm kicking around the waterfront, wondering what you might be doing, see? When I happened to take a gander at a boat. Not a big boat, one of them jobs that they call a launch.
Launch, yes.
Yeah, launch. And there's 3 things about it that make it interesting. Now, first, it was lying very low in the water, see? Second, the engine seemed to be conked out with 3 guys working on it. And, brother, when I say working, I mean frantically.
Tell the story, Mark, will you?
Well, and third, one of these jokers is wearing his arm in a sling. Now, this kind of makes me curious, and they all had their heads buried in the hatch up forward, see? So I sneak in for a look at what might be in the cabin, see? I will now give you 3 guesses.
One is enough. Gold.
You killjoy. Yeah. Gold. Big gold bars. Maybe a couple of feet long. A whole mess of them. I used to wear it. Come right over here.
It wouldn't hurt to take a look at that, Carstairs.
I believe we're safe enough in having a look. There's probably no significance to the gold. It's perfectly legal to buy and take it out of Macau. It's only when it reaches other ports that it becomes contraband. But the chap with his arm in the sling, we're certainly interested in him. Will you lead us to it, Donovan?
Hold it. There she is. Look, and they're still working on the engine.
They're trying to start it. We still have time to stop them. Come on.
Hey, they're pushing it away from the dock. Hold it. We want to come aboard. They don't look as though they're going to... Race, duck! Move back, Race. Oh, look, chum, we ain't got a chance against that chatterbox.
He's quite right. We'd better clear out of here.
Well, what do you think?
I think I'm licked, Mark. I'm not even sure I know what it's all about. I just think a beautiful girl is making some kind of a mistake. But I'm not even sure about that.
You mean a Dutra dame? What kind of mistake?
She's in love with some fellow who seems to be a first-class heel. I say that, and I don't even know his identity. The way he's involving her in all this grief, I don't know. As I said before, I'm up a tree.
Well, you must admit it's exciting anyway. Kidnappings, guys blazing away with Tommy guns, long, thick bars of gold. Ooh, that gold, brother. Would I like to glom onto one of those items?
Nothing seems related. Here we get in a fuss over some gold bars on a motorboat, and it does... Wait a minute, Mark. Gold bars.
Yeah. So what?
Nothing, really. Nothing but a hunch, but I might as well play it. Come on.
I tell you, Race, it's cruelty to animals. This animal, me. You run me around town for 3 hours. We've been hiding in this doorway for another couple hours. I'm getting hungry.
Something will break, Mark. It's got to.
Yeah, and it's probably going to bring my...
Hold it. Someone's coming. Take it gently, baby. We've met before.
Race.
Yes, Race. Knock on the door, Mark.
Yeah, sure. Come in, honey. I thought...
Hello, Carstairs, or whatever your name is.
What are you doing here?
Carstairs. What does he mean, Johnny?
I don't know, honey.
Let's step inside, baby. Close the door, Mark. What did you call him, Stephanie? Johnny? Johnny what?
His name is Anders. Johnny Anders.
He's been calling himself Major Carstairs of the Hong Kong Police Force. He's been working for your father, trying to solve the mystery of your abduction. Tell me something, baby. What do you know about a motorboat called the Lotus? Does it belong to Johnny?
Yes, but
You don't have to tell him any more, Stephanie.
No, she doesn't need to. It's been a bad deal, baby. This man's been taking you for what we call a ride. He got information from you, didn't he? About the workings of your father's gold processing plant, about the people who worked there. He needed that information so he could steal about $1 million in gold. You were only part of the loot, Stephanie, believe me.
He's weaving quite a fairy tale, honey. Come on, let's get out of here.
No, Johnny. I don't think I want to go.
Oh, just like that? A few words from this guy and you throw everything out the window.
I think I changed my mind before this, Johnny. It's just that now I'm sure of it.
Well, that's a shame, honey. Because I can't leave you here, can I? Hold it, Reese! This gun spits lead faster than you can think. I'm sorry I have to do this, but it... Hey, Reese. What tipped you off? I've always thought my Pip-Pip accent was very good.
It wasn't the accent, Johnny. It was that gold. If you'd really been Major Carstairs of the Hong Kong Police Force, you'd have known that gold never leaves Macau in long, chunky bars. Comes in that way, but they reduce it to small sticks for export.
Well, a man can't know everything, can he? But then it doesn't always pay. Take you, Race. You're going to cash in your chips because you knew too much. As of now...
Thanks, Mark. I'd almost forgotten you were here.
Don't never do that, Race. Well, this fella made that mistake, and look what happened to him.
The Adventures of Frank Race, starring Paul Dubove, with Tony Barrett as Mark Donovan, comes to you from Hollywood. Others heard in tonight's cast were Michael Ann Barrett, Jack Crucian, Clark Gordon, Gunnar Peterson, and Wilms Herbert. This series is written and directed by Buckley Angel and Joel Murcott. The music is composed and played by Ivan Ditmars. Be sure to be with us again this time next week for another dramatic chapter in the Adventures of Frank Race. Art Gilmore speaking. This is a Bruce Ells production.